Well, we're back, guys. Devin the
Mhm.
Gamer is a thing. I think we're on episode 44 now. We're gonna get episode
I
50
believe
by the end
so.
of the year. That's for sure.
Oh
Um,
yeah, we'll definitely hit 50 before the end of the year. That I will guarantee. I will guarantee that.
yeah, so we're back. Me and Mega were just talking about what we're gonna talk about, and then I realized we're just talking about the whole podcast before we even started. So I figured we'd just hand
Oh
over the
no.
reins to Mega since he's I'm better in the passenger seat, and then Kim Mega is better behind the wheel. So
Well, all right. Well, welcome everyone. Another episode of Devin the Gamer is here, and definitely look forward to seeing people's comments and things like that. Even if not at this point, here later on.
yeah.
But yeah, no, man, Don, what's been going on? How you been? What you been playing?
I think the same thing as you, man. I had a little bit of a breakthrough, and we start doing co-streams. Co-streams are coming back, guys. So
Ah,
yes, but we have to have a co-game to do the co-streams, and so we've been doing the Halo Infinite beta. That was quite a bit of fun. I don't know. I streamed for over 7 hours. I think we played together for 5 that day.
it was almost it was six.
It was
Six
6.
men. Yeah,
Yeah. So,
yeah.
yeah, we cleared out the first section of the little island on Halo Infinite, and we had a little bit of drama, not people understanding how to get into the beta. We were gaming that night. So everyone's kind of up to speed, I think. So I think the next time, whenever we do it, we'll probably have more people. We have a full group, maybe 4. We'll see.
Yeah, yeah, we'll see. We'll see. We'll see. It'll
So
be yeah, because it was kind of confusing because I mean, if it wasn't for me doing it earlier, because within that hour, because I had to eat, but
yeah,
well, my wife, prepared dinner and it'd be rude to start the stream and then stop, go back and do that.
yeah.
Um, so yeah, so just going and figuring out what I had to do and then adding that extra 50 gigs, it was a little it did throw me off. So when Handy and then when one bad mother wanted to come in and wanted to play with us, it kind of was, it's a little bit too late because already at that point we were already 4 hours
Well, we're well
along.
in, and then they didn't
Yeah,
even
we
have
were
it.
well deep in.
Yeah, well, one bad mother didn't even have the app installed,
No, no, no,
let
no.
alone the game.
He thought like I did at first that you
Yeah,
had that like since we was already in the flight that it would already be there available. But yeah, no, it was a
no
whole
whole
different
separate
download.
download.
So
Yeah,
yeah, it was
so
a whole different separate. And on top of that download, which was well, I think only like 3 gigs. Then you had to add another 50 plus gigs onto that. So if you had to move around any games,
um,
things like that. So yeah, it was pretty confusing. It was
y-
pretty
y-
confusing.
it's
I
not.
mean, I downloaded it on the PC, but I had plenty of room, so that wasn't the issue. But on the Xbox, it was a little confusing there. So I could see why people were like, "What? What's going on?"
Yeah, and I think too, like when you say flight, but you feel like it's a feature, it should be there. Like I think a lot of people just thought it was, oh, it's available on the regular game now,
Right,
not a
right.
flight, which is just another word for beta, I guess. If you really want to sum it up, as far as a public viewing of the game, mode, I guess, is the best way to describe it. But no, it plays right. So that was some fun. I've been waiting for the what is it the Hot Wheels DLC for Forza Horizon,
Ah, yes.
and that's I'm going to be streaming that today. So I'm going to be playing
Okay.
playing that. But mostly this whole entire month, I've been trying to get ahead of content creation. So like little clips, YouTube shorts, animations, all that sort of stuff. So by the end of this month, I can be as consistent as I want to be on those channels. Is the idea. So I don't want to talk too much about it, but the idea is consistency is something that bothers me. Just because people do watch the content, maybe small starting out channel. I feel like you owe it to the people that are excited in regards to
Okay.
that. So that consistency it really is bugging me. So I'm doing something about it. So all my game development stuff, like it's been put on hold until I can get myself a nice buffer by the end of this month. And going into next month, I think you'll see consistent content. So at least it's looking that way so far. So
Yeah. I'm just now getting a text from my wife. she was asking me was the power still on, and I was like, "What?" Yeah, I'm like, "Yeah, I'm doing Devin the Gamer," and she was like, "Well, because of the heat is knocked out a couple of areas around us. So
Oh,
if there's any issues or anything where I drop out, then I apologize, but you
no.
know,
And then if I can't carry
so
the show by myself, I apologize too. So,
yeah, you'll do all right. You'll
yeah,
do
all
all
right.
right.
It's all good. So, I guess if
But
we're
yeah, yeah.
talking about Halo Infinite, so I guess that was one of the
Well,
topics we want to
I
cover.
gotta talk about what I'm playing.
What you playing?
You know,
You playing stuff?
yeah, I'm playing stuff, man. Listen,
Nah.
I know I got to keep an image that I don't play any games,
No,
and
man. I don't
you know, but
want the
sometimes
secret out.
I know I can't, you know, I got to let the secret out sometimes, but you know, anyway, but this could be just but you know, okay, so I did last night play the Hot Wheels Forza
Oh, so you
expansion.
already got in and played it?
I got in last night. Don, that intro.
Hmm.
Yeah, and see, now this is the thing here, right? Now
Hmm.
this is a secret that I'm gonna let everybody know. Okay, so the Hot Wheels DLC for Forza Horizon 3, rarely played it. I just Cocaine Mountain was my thing. You know what I'm
That
saying?
was a
Like
better DLC
that, yeah.
in three.
What you Cocaine Mountain?
Yeah.
Oh, was better than the Hot Wheels
Yeah.
because I was getting. I'm like, this is cool, but like everybody's going crazy over this, and I'm like, I like it, but the other DLC is just it's insane. Like, I mean, you know what I'm saying? And I call it Cocaine Mountain, but I forget what it's called. It's because the Snow Mountain DLC that they added to 3. I just loved it
It's
way
a hell
more.
of a DLC, you would say?
Yeah, yeah, hell of a DLC. So I didn't really play that much. You know what I'm saying? So now after playing this, I played this about like 3-4 hours last night, and I'm like, okay, I'm gonna have to go back and do some comparisons because this was awesome. Like, I mean, right off the intro, I mean, exhilarating, getting chills. That's how good it was. Like, I was like,
Okay.
wait a minute, damn. So you gotta let me know what you think about it when you stream it tonight. And before that, I played As Dust Falls. I've always been, I always cap for those type of games. Like way back when Detroit first was announced, I was like, oh, this is the type of game that
Oh, that
I'm
game's
gonna
out?
pick up right here. Yeah, yeah, it came out yesterday.
Oh, I didn't know that
So
that's out.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah, it's on Game Pass, so you can go ahead and check that out now. Um, I love those type of games. You know, I like seeing where what my decisions, what kind of chaos I could cause or whatever. But and the one thing that I was concerned about was would I get bored with it because of this art style? Now, I believe that the art style is beautiful. Now, I think it's absolutely gorgeous, but I was thinking like, man, I kind of wish that it was live action from this is before I actually started playing it. But then after playing it, the story is so damn good is that you kind of overlook it. And it's not
So
bad. It's still a beautiful looking game, but
so what's the
I
worry
suppose
more of it because it was more still shots and no animation to
yes,
them? Is that what it was?
right,
Because more like a
yeah,
storybook sort of
right. It was more of a
presentation.
storybook, comic book kind of presentation, and so I
Okay.
was wondering if I wasn't going to get into that because I felt like these type of games I enjoy, I want to see live action, right? Like because I'm
Yeah.
like, man, because Detroit is up there. Like it's one of the pinnacles of those type of story driven games like that where you make decisions. And I know there's Telltale, and Telltale doesn't look all that great, but they also have some great games within their portfolio as well. But I have to say, I got really immersed into it. The decisions that I made, it was all about me trying to keep the dad alive. I was like, look, I can't let this man die because the more that you make these decisions, the more that it opens up the backstories of his situation with his wife and his kid, his dad. Then it also opens up the storyline with the other family. So basically, the game is based on two families and why these situations is like they are. And
So would you say you
it's
get a little
really
more
good.
connected to the characters as the story goes on?
Oh, absolutely,
Like so it
absolutely.
ramps
You
that
already
part up?
right, and you'll get into a position where you really like a character, and then next thing you know that, or you dislike a character, and then next thing you know, you kind of like, okay. I'm kind of not liking this person. I'm kind of liking this other person,
Yeah.
and then the twist within the story and things like that. So I got past the first three chapters last night. I'm gonna go ahead and jump on that. I was thinking about streaming it, but I think I want to beat it first, then stream it, start it all over, maybe do a couple of things different, let people see it. And then it's also online. I mean, well, you can have multiple people. It's co-op, so I think you can play up to 8 different people
See, and that's pretty
within it.
unique. So you can have a co-op
Hmm.
story, so you only have so much control over the story, and someone else can have an influence on the
Right,
story in a way that you were like, son of a bitch, Don. Like,
right,
why did you do that?
right. Like I think that like it'll be
Yeah,
like for everybody that's
that's cool.
involved. Yeah, and then you can also, if you don't want to, if you don't have a controller, you can also use your telephone, your cell phone
Oh,
through the
really?
app. So yeah, it's really really cool. And also, if you want to stream it, you can let people within the game decide as well. So I'm like, they really had everything kind of put in place. And like I said, the motion, the kind of comic book motion thing was the concerning aspect of it. But once I got into the story, it's not even a factor. So the game is really good. And then I Stray is out. I know it's getting a lot of acclaim. I haven't got a chance to play it. I'm really honestly, I'm not interested in it. Every time that I see people posting stuff, it's the cat is scratching something. Like right before we started the show, I looked and see somebody showing some more gameplay, and it was the cat scratching a couch. And I'm like, okay, well,
Does
look,
it
I
seem
got
kind of
it.
like a game that you have to be a cat person to enjoy?
I think so. That and then because I
There's
mean,
that
if it had an
mental, there's
adventure,
that
yeah.
connection that's there. Like I'm
Mhm.
not a cat person
Or
at
you got to
all.
be just a pet lover, in general. Like, you know what I'm saying? I got Big Briggs laying right down on the floor for me. I'm gonna
Cats
have
are
to
not
show people
capable
Big
of
Briggs
love.
today.
It's not an emotion they're able to do.
But you're evil.
No,
But no,
I'm
I mean,
just saying.
it's an adorable looking game. I mean, that's and
Mm.
from what people have told me that's played it, it's a platformer, and it does have some action elements where there's these robot people that will come after you or whatever. But I've not seen an action sequence at all. Everything that I've seen is that you can make the cat purr. It goes with other cats, and they bond and platforming that or scratching or knocking stuff over. I've not seen any action scenes whatsoever within that game, and I'm like, okay.
Mm.
I mean, look, I'm not going to tell anybody not to like a game because that's just never been my
Well,
style.
I'm
I've
glad
met
it
the people that enjoyed it,
exists.
but it's not.
I'm
Yeah, I'm
glad it
glad
exists,
that's the type of thing.
but it's not a
Yeah,
it's not something we'll share interest in. It's not a game that I would chat with somebody in a
right,
in a
right, right,
an
right,
Xbox Live party or over Discord, right? Like,
right.
that's fine. I mean,
Mm,
in regards to that, you can't like everything, man. You can
yeah,
try all you want, but just it's not going to happen. So,
right. And hopefully that we'll jump into Outriders,
oh,
World Flare.
yeah, I want to knock the Halo thing out of the way just to get it out of that distraction out of the way, and then dedicate that time to Outriders because I'm going to be playing the crap out of Outriders once I get in.
Okay,
I know that for a
yeah,
fact. So,
I got you. All right, and then but that's really what I mean. There's some other games that I could bring up um that I'm playing through kind of like preview games that I kind of can't wait to show people because they're pretty cool looking games. One of them was Loop Mercer. I showed a little clip of that, and I'm going to stream that. And then there's this shooter uh, called Synced, and that's really dope. But I can't really talk too much about it right now. But hopefully tomorrow I could actually show some gameplay of. So that's a pretty damn cool game. It's a co-op. It's a co-op game, and it's also a PvP game. So it's
gotcha.
pretty interesting. Pretty interesting. But I'll definitely show and talk about that here. Uh, you know, going forward. So, but let's go and talk about some Halo, man. We played the co-op. I'm glad for everybody that stopped by and checked us out. You know what I'm saying? I mean, it really blew up on YouTube. Like a lot of people, a lot more people than I thought watched it on YouTube. So thank you guys, and I know that you had a lot of people watching it on
Yeah.
your end
Yeah, it's been a
as well.
stronger viewership than previous ones, but
Yeah,
you never know. Like
yeah,
I just
yeah.
stream
You never know how that
with
works.
no real goals and hope it grows, I
Right.
guess. But
True.
yeah, appreciate the support
So, what was your
across the board.
thoughts?
It it plays how I would expect it to. I'm more curious how it's going to play when we start unlocking more abilities. Does that make sense? So like
Mm-hmm.
it'll be really interesting when someone favors the shield and then someone favors, for example, like myself, I will favor the dash over the grapple, right? And then see you play the grapple, like how that gameplay mixes together when you start doing all that sort of stuff. But far as worries or concerns are, like you know, the the legitimately only probably really ran into is when all of us died and we had to do a wipe, and it had a hard time resetting the instance in the world for each one of us as a player. And usually it would crash the dashboard. That's the only problem we really had with it, to be honest with you. How you unlock stuff, it was good. How they tell the story was fine. Um, I wish the host had the option. It's not a problem we had because we had a discussion. But I wish the host had the option to disable skip ahead on cutscenes or not before you start the match,
Oh, yeah.
because people fumble with their controllers, do all sorts of other stuff, and just it's a small quality of life thing. But if they're able to disable it from a host perspective, it really prevents those experiences where someone actually does something, or people do it out of habit. It's not even intentional, right? So but the the range where you can roam and stuff like that, it's really not an issue. I know people were concerned about it. They went with the system I thought they would do, which is a tether system, in regards to that. And I kind of like the tether system and the way you go into an area where it's clear to revive your co-op partners over
Mm-hmm.
the revive system they did in Halo 5. And that's the one of the few things I criticize Halo 5 is that revive system. Just it really kind of broke the gameplay in a lot of ways. At least I felt that way, and this way just works better. So
Yeah, it works way better. Totally agree.
wait,
Before I
it's
give my thoughts on it, yeah, you
you
just
see
seen it.
that?
Yeah.
See, I was just had to
Yeah,
read Yobi's
yeah,
thing because I was done talking. I didn't realize it was his
yeah,
birthday.
yeah. Shout out to Yobi, man. Happy birthday, brother. You know what I'm saying? Yes, we did this for you. Yeah. No, but uh, so I knew something. It was something in the cosmos because we were supposed to do Devin the Gamer yesterday. I just wasn't feeling it. I'm like I said, I'm on this diet, and sometimes I get a little weak because I'm not you know what I'm saying, I'm not grubbing like I was. So, and so I mean, and living off of salads and protein shakes is it's just not the
Listen
thing right
here,
now for me.
I
So
know you guys don't see K
I do
Mega.
like lemon water though.
I know you guys don't see K Mega as often as I do, but I will say this. The Snickers commercials? He's just like that, man. He's just
Oh
like
my
that right
God.
now.
Stop it. Stop it. Stop it. Stop it. Stop it. No, actually, I mean, to be honest, I'm pretty
No, you seem to be in
I've been
good
pretty chill.
spirits.
Yeah.
Good
Yeah,
spirits for sure.
good spirits. Yeah, because I mean we knocking it out. We hitting the first goal, and I mean I think I'm only maybe 15 pounds away from the first goal, and then now then after that we keep it rolling. So
Well, make
um
you feel any better. I'm cutting out caffeine right now, and it's miserable.
oh yeah.
It
Caffeine is, yeah, my wife turns into Satan.
No, yesterday like it was
Caffeine.
so bad I couldn't do anything. Like I felt like I was sick all day, but I just
Oh
didn't have
yeah.
any energy. Like I couldn't like get my head up out of the bed and everything. It was bad.
Yeah.
Oh, I can turn up K Mega's mic. We got this covered.
Okay. Yeah, I don't get why some of my mic is good at some point. Sometimes it's not. I don't know.
It's a
Um.
proximity thing with mics like this.
Well, I got that other mic, but I got to get that Go XLR. So I mean that
Yeah.
will
Like and
solve
subscribe
some
on the
of
K
it.
Mega's channel.
Yeah.
That'll fix it, right?
Yeah. Subscribe. Help a
Like,
brother out.
I don't know. Just hit all the
Um.
buttons at the bottom. YouTube says
Hit
it
all the
does
buttons.
things, but I think it's all bullshit.
Yeah, like, dislike, do whatever you need to. So yeah, so
Yeah.
I get that Go XLR, but so I can get that other mic because it's right there. And big shout out to Lethal Papa who got me that mic. He got me that mic a while back, and so and I always tried to tinker, and I thought the thing that I bought for it worked and it didn't. And so I've always, and then I've gotten like
What
headsets
what
and
mic is it?
different other things. Uh, it's a professional mic. It's a really nice mic. I forget what the name of it is, but I still got it in the
Yeah,
box.
send me a
So
picture to after the stream. I'm
yeah,
curious.
yeah. It's a good mic. Yes. So he sent that to me years ago, and I've always and when I bought a little thing for it, but it wasn't compatible with it because I at that point in time, about 4 or 5 years ago, how I didn't I just was so computer illiterate. So or just all this other shit illiterate. So yeah, it's crazy. But
Well,
anyway,
it's like a little
but
bit.
yeah, so we get it so I get my mic better.
You can only people specialize
Mhm.
in different types of tech, right? So like for me,
Yes.
audio, I didn't know what the hell I was doing, and that took me a good 8 months to really just kind of wrap my head around it correctly. And even then, it can use some improvement on my end,
Hmm.
but it's a hard thing to audio people are different than people that do graphics, right?
It is.
And
Yeah.
vice versa.
It is
So
a different animal for
yeah,
sure.
yeah, I think podcasting or live streaming, the way I look at it is like you're almost like a triathlete, right? Triathletes really are only good at one sport: swimming, cycling, or running, right? And then they kind of adapt everything else. And that's what podcasting is, right? Like you're good at one of those things, right? And then you adapt and you learn all the other stuff to make it a well-rounded product. So yeah, so we're still learning. We're gonna Devin the gamer's gonna get better too as well. So
Yeah. You know what I'm saying? So um but yeah, and I hope Yobi it's working, it's going up for you and everything so you can hear me. And so I'm like I got closer to the mic. So
I turned it up on my
but
end
yeah,
too, so you're good.
okay.
It's
All right.
partially my
So
fault.
from Oh, well, no, it's all good. This mic, if I step away and I'm like this, then some people are like I can't hear you. So I'm like, all right. And then I feel like I might be too loud, and then we'll forget it. Let's just roll with it like this. But yeah, no, I think I mean I agree with everything that you were saying about Halo, the co-op. I think there was only that one hiccup, and it wasn't like a situation where it would just take the win out of the sales. It was inconvenient. Um, so it definitely needs to be fixed. But other than that, like I mean, the one thing that I was impressed the most was how far that you can go
I
away from each other.
what
That was impressive.
Well, what's crazy is like when I was playing with you guys and you guys were testing, it's like, hey, can you see us? Sort of thing. We're trying. You let me run away. I didn't realize that's what was going on. And
Hmm.
and you and what was it?
Game down sights.
Game Down Sights were hanging back. I think at that base or whatever. So I start going up the mountain to the next destination because I just keep clicking on destination to kind of keep the group going.
Mhm.
And I was climbing up the mountain, and I could, you can see the little dots on the screen where you guys are located. From my perspective, I'm on top of the mountain. Couldn't see you guys. You guys weren't even in the draw. You were so small, you weren't even in the draw distance. That's how far away you were. Right? Should have a clean line. I had a clean line of sight the whole entire time. I couldn't see you until you guys were close enough, right? And it took quite a ways before I can even make out your characters because like it went from dot to dot with your name, and then eventually I was able to see you guys on the map. So
Yeah. That was very impressive. I mean, I think we kind of because at first I was like, that's bananas if we can go 650 meters away from each other. But I think where it maxed out was around 250, 275, between I would say 240 and 270
well, the thing
meters.
is, meters like it's
That's
it's hard to get a perspective because we don't really
right,
work in meters. So like
right.
what is it? What does that mean? You know what I mean? So
Right. Yeah. Yeah. So it's a long ass way.
yeah.
So it wasn't like you thinking if you're playing on a 360 or a PlayStation 3 and playing or even just last gen playing on a console and then you trying to go a little bit further out and then it's kind of put you on the wall or it kind of it spawns everybody where you are. So it's pretty impressive that way. Now the other time that it did spawn us is when it was in the more closed in areas when it was in the during the elevator when you went up and I was still looking around for something and then I spawned on you that way. But that was me. That was in a climatic, a point where it was
Yeah.
drama filled, and so so you had to kind of get through the explosions and try to get out of the off the ship. And so I'm still trying to search and look for stuff around, and I'm like, oh shit, I got to get out of here. So and then it respawned me at that point, but no, at no time. I mean, it seemed a little bit easy at first because the way that we were killing everything, and then once we got further and further into the game, it got tough on some occasions, man. I mean, the snipers are
They're a problem.
insane.
Yeah,
They are a
you
problem.
can't ignore them in regards
No,
to that, and that's
yeah,
that's kind of the approach on that sort of stuff. You have to have an approach that where you don't ignore certain things, but that's the challenge though. That's what's awesome is
hmm
because you may have somebody like myself. That I tend to go a little too hot into a mess, right? And then
right,
and some people like tend to save you because they're on the outside and vice
right,
versa. But that mixture of gameplay adds to that variety that I feel like the campaign was just missing. Once
oh yeah,
now you play the co-op, you're like, okay, I get what was, you knew what was missing because it wasn't there at launch, but you really
mhm,
felt it playing it through as a co-op experience for sure. So
yeah. No, no, I enjoyed it. And this is another nitpick. It's not the end of the world, but of course, playing is all Master Chiefs. Hopefully, maybe somewhere down the line, maybe sometime next year, or somewhere down the line, that they will allow to where you can have your custom Spartan out there to play with each other. But but I don't know. They might not ever change it. I understand the reasoning behind it of what they said, because everybody is playing. In this storyline, everybody plays as Chief, so it makes sense. This is gonna be a segue to where you know where I'm gonna go with this. And so there was an article that came out that you posted yesterday.
yeah,
Um, that I mean, look, I get that aspect of it, of why we couldn't have different Spartans, but even when we were streaming, there was people that was like, "Oh man, this is kind of stupid," or "Why is it four Chiefs? That's kind of goofy looking," or things like that. And I got what the developers were saying, but then again, we get the opportunity to customize our Spartans. We would like to see our Spartans and have everybody notice who we are individually, to see how we work together, how we play together. And then just in case on that, like with people that weren't familiar with Game Down sites, like they could have seen his customized Spartan and then followed him and got to know more about how he plays. It just, those type of things I think are important. But again, will it change? I don't know. But
it comes off
then
as
the article,
minimal effort on
yeah,
on
it
their
come,
part.
yeah,
And I
yeah,
understand
yeah,
like the
yeah.
argument, but I feel like that was just an excuse because it's something they didn't want to bother with because they're under a time restriction or whatever it may be. There's ways around what they said, and it just doesn't really hold water. In regards to it, just I felt like just be honest about it. Like we didn't have time.
Right. Yeah, yeah.
Just tell us, hey man, like I know you're gonna burn us for this, but like we're not gonna have time to be able to do that implementation right now. Right now we're trying to focus on stability and whatever other things you're focusing on, and there are going to be always detractors from that, but at least you'll know, at least you know where they're coming from in regards to that. So
Right, right. And so within that article, it was basically talking about Master Chief. Um, is it time for Master Chief to kind of get put on the side, and
yeah,
put on the side burner? And Don, we've been saying this ever since, I don't know, it's been years. We've been knowing each other for a long time, and we were on this camp for years. And it seems like it's a slow uptick, that there's people out here just saying, okay, I think I'm kind of agreeing with this. I don't know. What is your initial thoughts? I mean, you know how I feel about it. I just want the universe to get bigger.
yeah.
But what about you, man? I mean, explain a little bit more about what the article was saying, and give your thoughts.
Well, I mean, they give you a bunch of different things. They kind of
Hmm.
criticize the character not having a lot of depth to him. right?
Hmm.
In regards to that. And people are going to get offended that are huge Master Chief fans. If you read the article, be prepared to try to go in there with an open mind, in regards to that. I
Hmm.
don't think any ways it said Master Chief is bad or anything like that, but, he has a limit to what he can offer and really offer the Halo universe as a whole. And so, I want to see stories that follow Blue Team or members of Blue Team. I want to see stories. I'm pretty sure Red Team eventually is going to be added to the series. Like that's going to happen at some point. Just because you have the Banish, so the Red Team's going to be part of it eventually. And just other aspects of the Spartans in regards to that. So I think having those multiple experiences, having those different characters, it doesn't even. And here's the other thing too: you have these different characters; they don't take away from Chief. Like there's this mentality. You saw this when Locke came out, right? Locke came out, and people are just like, it's not Chief, and it undermined Chief in some sort of way, or what is it,
Or
Palmer,
undermine
Palmer,
Halo.
or
Yeah,
or or,
yeah.
or Palmer, right? Like that was
Right.
the lady Spartan that was in command in 4.
Hmm.
And like, no, she doesn't take away anything from that. Matter of fact, anything it gives some sort of depth for Chief to push against, right? Chief needs other things to make it work in the story. Like, in Infinite, you have Bro Hammer and you have the weapon, right? Without those two things, like, let's just be honest with you, Chief wouldn't be able to hold that story together. I mean, that's the harsh reality. And it's nothing against the performance or anything like that, but he's a man of lesser words in regards to that. And Halo's done okay without Chief before, right? Like, you had Noble Six and Reach. Like obviously it was Chief like, in regards to that. But you had Noble Six, you had ODST without him, in regards to that, and a lot of people want to criticize 343, but guess who brought back Chief? 343. Guess who put him to sleep? Bungie, right? So like, that story with Chief was almost kind of written, and then it kind of brought him back, and it's been a good thing, but it's also been a curse too. I don't think just always seeing Chief all the time is the best solution. It doesn't mean I don't like having stories with him or anything like that, but just I want the universe to expand. I don't want to be limited in regards to that. So
Yeah, no, I'm the same way. We've talked about this, like I said, for years. Um, you know, me saying that I want the universe to expand doesn't mean that I want Chief, that I dislike Chief. I love
no,
Chief. Chief is the reason why, I am a big Halo fan myself. But it's the point of, after watching the show, which, and people can take it for however they thought about the Halo TV show on Paramount. Love it or hate it, but you had plenty of people to like or dislike, and that's what we want, and that's what I would love to see within the Halo universe. Like, I'm like, okay, all right, you got the one girl, I can't think of her name, the Asian female. She was very annoying to me.
what game was
But
that?
no, not the game, the show, the Halo show.
Oh, okay, I got
Yeah,
you. I got you.
yeah,
So you're
yeah,
talking about
and
the television show. I'm sorry. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. And so the Asian girl, she was annoying to me. I wasn't a fan of her. But I was a huge fan of the villain that got killed off kind of early, but uh well, he got killed, he got burned alive or whatever. I thought he was a cool ass villain. I thought that he was going to, have a longer arc. Now maybe they might try to bring him back or some sort. I don't know if they I don't know, but uh but he was a part of the reason why her family was in war with and they turned rebels on top of the fact of the Spartans and all that. But I there was just so many other characters that I enjoyed, and then there was characters I didn't, but it still was. That's what you want within the universe. And the one thing also too that I enjoyed is that they gave their time to all the other Spartans. Chief was definitely, the lead character,
Yeah.
but every other Spartan had their moment, and that part to me was important. And it seems like in Halo games, if Chief is there, he doesn't have the part, and that's why I think that so many people hate. That's why I love Halo 5 so much, because they gave you the best of both worlds. They gave you a direction from a whole nother Spartan team, and then they gave you some Chief, and I'm like, I'm with this. This is awesome. Now, again, like how people may think about the story, if it fell flat or whatever the case was, the point of it is that it was expanding the story, the universe. You
Yeah.
don't, you can't have a full universe. I mean, you can't look for a game to grow without the universe expanding itself. And Halo Wars 2 has helped do that with the Spirit of Fire. Reach helped do that. ODST helped do that. So to me, it's not like I don't know, man.
Well,
I
and
don't I
also
don't
I
know. I
think
just they
too
just
when
got
you
to just
have those
go
breaks,
forward. Yeah.
and let's say you're a Chief fan, right? It
Hmm.
makes it when you bring back Chief or you're playing Chief again, it makes it more impactful. Does that make sense? So
Yes.
like a lot of people will reference Halo 4 as having a really good Master Chief story.
Right.
Why is that? Because we went 2 games without Master Chief, right?
Right.
Makes you want it a little bit more.
Makes you want to
It
see
makes
him.
you
Right.
flush out that character a little bit more too, right? Like how do
Hmm.
we add depth to Chief without what without changing him? You know what I mean?
Hmm.
That sort of thing. You stay true to the character and that sort of thing. So that's why I kind of I'm playing. One of the things playing Infinite, like there's certain design elements I like about it, and there's certain things that I just like. I feel like it was just shallow in comparison, right? And it's the fact that you have no other Spartans, nobody else for him to push up against, right?
Right.
Nobody either to back him or not back him. It's really between it's really a story between four characters, right? It's Chief, Brohammer, and the weapon, and not Atriox, but his
Echelon.
Escheron, and it's really that's a story between those four characters, and that's fine. The characters were developed, but it felt empty because of that, right?
Yeah, they only gave Atriox beginning and end.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, and I understand the whole aspect of they thought that Atriox was dead, but why we couldn't see why Escharum and those in the banished thought that he was dead. Like we didn't get, like there was so much cut out. Like I don't know. And that's to me is where we go back to the whole point of 343. I made a video talking about this. Is like, look, I love 343. I always cap for 343. They're talented as hell. But some of the direction on certain things, especially when these things get leaked out of really cool ideas or opportunities that people could see that could flesh the story out and get people to be more invested into what's going on instead of just kind of throwing this piece in, throwing that piece out, and eh, well, mostly throwing everything out to make it a bigger, longer story. I mean, I don't see anything wrong with. I mean, because it took me 25, almost 30 hours to beat Halo Infinite. So I don't see if you added another 10, 15 more hours. I mean, made it 50 hours. I don't see that, because if you still had a B way where some people didn't want to do all the extra stuff to find more extra things, then I can, that's give them that option. But for people who want to dig in, like me and others that want to know more about the lore, what's going on, the biggest factor I think you agree with is that it was really cool to see those little Spartan things that was there. I forgot what they're called. They're where you found out the background or the backstory of the Spartans like Soros and all and some other
What you're
ones that
talking
you've
about
seen
when
that
you pick
passed
up
away.
the
Those data
upgrade
pads and things like that.
data
Yeah.
pads or the upgrades, because the upgrades sometimes give you a little bit of a backstory, like of a Spartan
No,
that's
the
fallen.
the, the data the data pads
Okay.
from the Banish and from the UNC. So the
Yeah,
UNSC, I
the
think it's
data
called.
pads were, I mean, they're fine and all, but what
Yeah.
irritated me is like when I would be playing and you have the data pad playing, I'm like,
Mhm.
why can't I be playing what's going on? Like,
Well, or
y-
just let us see it.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, just I want to be somewhat more a part of what they're
Mhm.
what they're telling there, and I can tell they were
Mhm.
tying up a bunch of loose ends of things. They're just kind of, I don't know necessarily retconning, but just kind of glazing over, so it wasn't part of the main game. But I'm like, but those are things I was invested in regards to that. So I felt like that's why it felt so, like there's moments that, like, people that love Chief and just wanted a Chief story and stuff like that. I understand why they love this game.
Mm-hmm.
And but I was also invested in those other things, and so to kind of have that kind of just glossed over, it was disappointing, I guess,
Yeah, no,
to me in regards to that. And the way I look at it is, people keep talking about Halo community. Well, you're only talking about one segment of the Halo community. If you really have to talk about the whole community as a whole. And there's a community that feels certain ways about certain things, but I feel like if you're a Halo fan, you have to learn to find a way to come together. And if it's just bending the knee to only being like what Halo was in the olden days, I just don't think that's healthy in regards to that. So and then who knows where they're going with this. I'm hearing a lot of interesting rumors here and there, so we'll see where all this kind of goes in regards to. I want Halo Infinite to be whole though, is regards to that. So that's probably going to happen at the end of next year, I guess. So
yeah, no. I mean, for the multiplayer, yeah, the multiplayer is going to be straight by the end of next year. No doubt about that. Seeing more stuff about Forge, that looks great. There's a new segment to season 2. We'll have to boot that up, check it out. But like you and how you feel about it. Like, I mean, I would want to be involved into what was going on instead of just reading it or having it spoken to me as a just throw in. That I don't know. You know what I'm saying? This is supposed to be a cinematic experience to where I could treasure nothing, but you know what I'm saying. And listen, don't get me wrong. I enjoyed the hell out of Infinite. There's definitely elements within the game that I never want to see Halo go back to from to the older Halos. I want to have boss battles, the open world aspect.
yeah, boss
They
battles
got to
were a
keep that.
great
Yeah,
introduction for sure.
they got to keep that. There's no doubt about it. They got to keep that. But the most disappointing thing for me was when I first seen the person that was allegedly Hyperion. I think that's how you say his name, that killed Locke, supposedly at that time killed Locke. How I had this hatred, and oh my God, you just know that, man, and then how difficult they were to kill because you had to fight both brothers, um, and it was usually Hyperion that was tearing my ass up on that bike, and I'm like, oh my God, I'm gonna kill this bastard. So it got really intense, and then to the point to when I finally got them and I'm looking and I see Locke's helmet on his shoulder and all this other stuff, and I'm like, oh my God. And then I'm going around searching and trying to find out, man, is Locke really dead? Is this what's happening? Because obviously he got his ass handed to him. And you got nothing until like I think I didn't find out after you killed him. There was nothing until I had to go find a data pad to find out that he's still alive somewhere. And I'm like, wait a minute, he was the headliner for the fifth game. How are you not going to have a sequence to where he at least got what happened to him, what went
Or
on?
or you could, I mean,
It made me so disappointed. Like what?
I mean,
Like yeah,
they
that
could
was
have
the most disappointing point.
they could have easily
Mhm.
did this thing where like they had like a short, like a mini campaign, nothing crazy, right? Like
Yeah.
but like an hour or two of content of you playing Lock, where maybe you unlocked X number of data pads, so to incentivize you to find the data pads, right? And
Mhm.
then it allows you to play the Lock story, and it fills in the gaps between the data pads that they had there. And then you can have the battle that went down that where Locke lost, right? You can have that
Right.
battle and have that, that a little bit of investigation. You don't have to do all of it. I understand that some people didn't like
Right.
Locke, right? But
Right.
but that would have been a way to do it. It would have been optional for the people. It would encourage the people to explore more in the world and have those sort of things. But it just, it seems like, it's not like I'm a genius and like thought of something that 343 didn't think. I'm sure that was something on the table. Like the thing is they're just too afraid to do it,
Yeah,
in regards to that.
or it was in there and they cut it out. It
No,
was one or the other.
or committed time constraint. That's possible too.
Right.
In regards to that, so like I just, it's just one of those things. Like I guess the frustration for people who like the game is the fact that it just doesn't live up to the full potential of other fans or love the series. I guess is what's going on there, right? It
Yeah.
tailors to one particular crowd, and that's fine. If you love it, by all means, don't let me rain down on it, take away from your enjoyment of it or anything like that. But um, it's just one of those things. Like I'm rooting for them to be content complete. I'm rooting for them to take things into new directions going forward, beyond Infinite, whatever their plans is beyond Infinite, because it's looking like there might be a full standalone game more and more I look into it. So we'll
Yeah.
see.
Yeah.
We'll see if it's
No
that
doubt
or if
about it.
it's the other.
I
Um,
don't think it's going to be DLC. I think it's just going to be a standalone game. Now, let
yeah,
me read. Let me read a little bit of the what I'm reading right here. Is that's from One Bad, isn't it? Yeah,
yeah.
because I'm looking at the little screen.
We're talking about Halo.
Um,
One Bad Mother will be here. So
yeah, One Bad Mother's going to be here. So what's a shout out to
yeah,
One Bad. But yeah, no, and I agree with him on this. He said, I kind of like the lonely feeling of Infinite. Wanted it to get personal before they turn it up and bring it up again. And so he's like, next campaign should be turned up as a contrast, which I agree. Now, see, there was nothing wrong with that. See, I I like that alone feeling too. See that I didn't have a problem. See, I did not have a problem with Chief doing the things Chief did. The only thing that, like I said, was the issue with me is that they didn't give the other Spartans enough background. Like you were saying, Don. Like even if they just wanted to do in game CG, or if they would let you get a chance to play with the other Spartans. But I felt like it was pretty weak to see, like, when you went and picked up some of those enhancements. What the hell happened to that Spartan in order for you? So if you got a chance to play as that Spartan, being that Spartan, and feel and also give you a sense of how devastating the Banished is by playing as that character and then being hopeless and getting decimated, and given a reason, like, and even the Spartan that was trapped in that tower.
oh, the gravity
And
well one.
yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah. Like, can we get a reason? Let's see how he got captured. Things like they did. Like, again, the whole thought process of just about Chief is overtaking the importance of the other Spartans that has also been out there saving the galaxy as well. You see what I'm saying? So, like, it just that to me is that is the weakness of, and it shows actually the importance of Chief and how special he is.
Well,
But it also just but it also is the weakness of the Halo story, because they focus so much on Cortana and Chief, and that shouldn't be that should it shouldn't be it shouldn't be like this at this point in time,
Well,
in
I
my
mean, I
opinion.
mean, like you just take the Spartan was in the gravity well. Like no one knows what his name was, right? Like I guess they
Well, they said his
mentioned it.
name's Soren, I think, something like that. I
I don't
forgot what
know,
his
but
name was.
like
Yeah.
no one
But
really
see, yeah,
knows
that's what I'm saying. He
him.
only had a boy, he was dead, he was gone. So, like, I mean,
Yeah,
no respect.
but let's say they have like a little bit of a story lead up to that character, right? And you show him as a
Mhm.
badass, but you still got his ass whooped, right? So
Yes.
what that does,
Yes.
it props up Chief even more. Like as I said, like
Mhm.
Chief Chief can only do so much on his own, and when you have these supportive characters, and I look back at Halo 4, like you look at all these characters like they were against Chief in Halo 4 and stuff like that, it really put him on a different level, right?
Yes.
And honestly, that different level has been missing since 4, in every single way. Like
Right.
4, it gave you like a depth. You was still cheap, but there was a lot more to it, when it comes down to it. And so it doesn't mean you may like the gameplay or 4 or anything like that, but there's elements of 4 they did right when it comes to the story that, um, yeah, I really hope 343 looks back at that sort of stuff and say, hey, how can we implement it in new ways, right? Like
Well,
it doesn't have to be like whatever I say or you say, but new
right.
ways. So
Well, okay, and then our last point on this, because you know how we get to Halo, talking about Halo and then go forever. But one thing that we've all had a discussion about the other night, and I thought it was important to bring up now, to everybody who's listening. is it now at a point to where Halo doesn't have to be the flagship for Microsoft, for Xbox? Because from the direction of where it seems that they're going to go, and just not even forget about the direction where they're trying that they might go, because we really actually don't know the full direction.
No.
But wherever direction they're going to go, there's going to be somebody that's not going to like it. I mean, we're at that point where, and I hope 343 is at the point, like, we're damned if we do, damned if we don't. We try it this way, they still don't like it. We try it that way, they still don't like it. You're not going to please everyone. So when you get to a point to where, and this is why I say that, hey, let them have the creative freedom, let them do what they want to. But now since Staten is in charge, he's picked up another old school Bungie guy. Could it be where they'll go the old school Halo 1 through 3 direction, or 1 through Reach direction, and the Halo fans like me, you, Xbot, others, that want to see the change of what we started seeing from Halo 4, or we should say, yeah, from Halo 4 on up. That could be a thing of the past. And we might not ever get to see Halo evolve to what we think that the franchise should go. And they just might just want to just keep it as, hey, we just want to keep it to the old core, let it be, who cares? At that point, this is me personally thinking. I know that there will be people that definitely disagree with me, but I feel at that point, then if you keep it at, Halo is still going to be relevant because there's nothing like Halo. So let me make that point. But I don't think Halo will ever get to that point to go beyond or to the greatness of what it was when it was at its height during the Halo War, Halo 2 and Halo 3, because they've been there and they've done that, but they just want to keep it safe and don't want to do anything to piss off a certain fan base. Is it viable to think that, look, man, I mean, Halo, there could be another franchise that could overtake Halo for being the number one franchise for Xbox going forward, and do you think that people will be fine with that?
And there's a lot to unlock there.
I know, yeah, but I mean,
there's a lot you're saying
yeah,
there.
yeah,
So here's the thing: Halo
Mhm.
or any other game will never be at that level of Halo 2 was. I don't think you'll ever get there again. I don't think you can. The reasoning why is Halo was in a genre of its own for quite a while, and they had all the breakthroughs to make that genre work on a console. Does that make sense? So you had
Mhm.
multiplayer, which was unheard of at the time. You had you have a first person shooter that people adopted the controls and took to them, right? In regards to that. But you go now, every single shooter has online. Every single shooter has controls that people like, or at least enjoy to some degree, or at least they can just pick up and play and know how it is. They live in a world where first person shooters are accepted. They live in a world where multiplayer is more common than it is uncommon, right? And so there's no way they can ever have that stage like they did once again in Halo. That's a lightning in a bottle type situation. They'll never be in that same spot again by themselves. Now, can you have Halos that make more money than Halo 2? Absolutely. As a matter of fact, I guarantee 4 and 5 probably did, to be honest with you,
Yeah.
right?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
But people judge it from a perspective of not being this top tier game in the sense that no one else is making a game like it. Well, it's a game that people are going to mimic. So it's going to be never by itself anymore. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
In regards to that. So far as a mascot and that sort of thing, I think that affects the perception and the view of older hats like ourselves that remember a time when like Halo was the only thing. It was a kid on the block. Everything else was just a little single player experience, maybe good and had a lot of fun, but it wasn't the shared experience that Halo was in regards to that. So that's the first thing. No matter, I don't think what 343 is capable of or what they do, they'll never get into that point. And I just don't think it's fair to look at it through that lens, because I don't think any game will be at that point anymore. Like, I mean, how many new genres do you see in games that people copy at that level? Is just, you just don't see it anymore, because it's from a basic gameplay mechanics. The other thing is, hiring one person from 343, I'm sorry, from Bungie is not going to change a lot, to be honest with you. In regards to what direction they're going to go forward, I think the things that are going to affect that are, I mean, maybe somebody like Jason, where he's kind of making management decisions from a higher up level. He may have a great vision that's more similar to the older stuff, and so if that's the case, then that's the direction the series will go. Um, that's the person that's pushing the buttons and pulling the levers, and in regards to that, he's the person you have to try to get into the ear if you want to push something new. And if he's not having it, he doesn't feel like that's Halo, in regards to that, then you'll get something that's, well, whatever his vision is, in regards to that. So it just really depends. So I'm a little bit worried about where they're going to go with Halo. I don't think,
Right.
I don't, you have somebody that's rumored to be at the head, and maybe is at the head, that is good at getting products out the door, um, but doesn't have eye on the ball on the grander scheme of things. Does that make sense? Which is the games as a
Mhm.
service, which is something that Microsoft is pushing. So make one part of Microsoft happy, you get a product out the door, and people enjoyed it. But when the experience is over, right, then people go, well, is this it? In regards to that. And so then your lasting impression ends up changing on the product, right? You know how many people were really happy with the product, that would have a much different view on the product than I do. And, go back to the same people now, and they're just like, they're disappointed, right? In the product. So it's a hard place to be now. I think Microsoft's going to expand to so many other games anyways, to be in the forefront of, the face of Microsoft. um yeah, I think Halo might be overshadowed by them to some degree as well, regardless of how much you like the series or not. But I don't think that
Yeah.
should be a focus. I don't think that should matter.
No,
I
not
think they
just
should be focused on making
no.
the best game they can,
Right.
and growing the experience beyond that. Like, I don't want to take anything from the previous Halos. That's the reason why you have the Master Chief Collection. You can play those games over and over and over again. If you love them, you love them. So be it, right? But I'm okay. One of the biggest things I've always looked forward to in gaming is gaming growing, or my favorite series growing. I don't want to rerun.
Right.
In regards to that, right? It's like, it's, you take Star Wars for example. People loved the first J.J. Abrams one, right? Um,
Mhm.
Everyone loved it at first, right? And then about 6 months later, people are like, well, it's just rinse and repeat of the New Hope,
Right.
right? And so they start looking at it from that perspective. And so these people all love the product, end up start seeing the seams in the product, and then they go, well, then this is not anything great. And I think that happens with games too. Like, if you go too much on the nostalgia level, people may love it at face value at first, right? But down the road, they kind of like, well, it's just a rehash of what I've already experienced. It's been hundreds and hundreds of hours, and it's not really giving me that itch for something more, in regards to that.
Mhm.
So, that's just my take on it. Everyone's going to have a different take. I mean, so many people are invested in the series, so everyone's going to have a different take on it. Everyone has their say. I mean, as far as I'm concerned, I may not agree with you, but by all means, put it out there. And it's fine. In regards to, but we'll just see where it goes. I just don't think, I don't know if we're gonna get a lot of DLC. That's the other thing too. I think
Yeah.
what they say is a 10-year plan is different than I think than what other people think. I think the 10-year plan argument was, the game engine argument. Does that make sense? So
Well,
a lot of
they did
this.
say they did bring up Destiny, so I think that that was one of their approaches, and then now it seems like that's not where they're gonna go.
Well, I mean, if you look at it, from a perspective of the game engine being the linchpin of keeping them from being out content on a regular basis, right? That
Mhm.
I think that's the big thing on the 10-year plan. Like everything they're building for Halo is so it's easier to bring out more and more product down the road, and that's the reason why with the engine. And to be honest with you, more and more I've been talking to people, it's not the engine's not as difficult as people think it is, in regards to that. But it just doesn't have the library, doesn't have all the tools quite in place in regards to that. But it's not difficult for me to make a model, for example, in ZBrush, and refine some of the aspects of it, character rig it in a software like 3D Studio Max or Maya or whatever, and then port that over to the engine. It's really kind of the same thing like I would do with Unity or really any other engine, Unreal, whatever. So
Yeah. No, I mean, I feel what one bad is saying. Look, I mean, but that's the problem. They anytime that they try to take chances or even try to step out a little bit, then they get destroyed for it. And that's what I'm saying. Like, I mean, yeah, no, I mean, what you just said about what people thought of how they loved the New Hope and well the first Star Wars that came well the last trilogy
yeah.
of Star Wars, they loved it because they had that nostalgia. But then again, that's the same thing that's going to happen with Halo if they decide to keep it 1 through 3. You can add different stories to it, but if you want to keep the big green guy there constantly, and then just kind of make everything more reminiscent to the old way and not progress, it's gonna fade anyway, and that's because the one thing that people will do, like, man, well, I could just go back and play Master Chief Collection. You see what I'm saying? So it's like that. I that's why they have to try to keep it as fresh as possible. Take chances, and that's why I thought they were going to do with the DLC. Um, and now you're hearing that they're going to do a full fledged game. So let's see what they do with that. I don't know. I mean, I'm just as confused as everybody else on the situation. I mean, you would think that they had the plan, but hell, they didn't even have the full plan put together for the multiplayer. But even though the multiplayer is going in the right direction,
Well,
and the multiplayer feels great, but it's good. So,
speaking of
what was you gonna say?
directions, I don't think people realize that I really think there's gonna be a mix up on the art direction on Halo going forward.
I know you said that
Yeah,
before we started the
yeah,
show. So explain.
yeah. So the lead art director left.
Hmm.
343. He's the one that's primarily, from what I understand, from all the little conversations they had out for interviews and stuff like that. He was primarily responsible for pushing Halo Infinite the direction that it did. So characters being a little more simplified, having a little more of that retro look. Just the art direction in general. He's the guy that approves things, right? The artist will make stuff, and he's the one who approves it if it's going to go into a game, or gives a review and say, hey, you change this, this, and this. And he worked on 4, he worked on 5, far as I understand. But this is a direction he really wanted to take the series. Now that he was in charge, he took it that way. Some people like it, some people don't. And but he's moved on to other adventures. He's been there for 14, 15 years, so I don't blame him. I mean, that's a long time to be at a studio,
Right.
especially in the industry. People don't realize, like, in the industry there's very transient employees and stuff like that. Like, a lot of times people are just there for one game and they're out, right? Because they just want to have it on the resume and move on. But yeah, they lost him. And I know they hired somebody else, but I don't know if he's going to be taking up exactly the same role as him. And if you look at his portfolio, it looks like very, like, you'd be the type of person, if I was in charge at 343, I would go, I need someone to develop the character design of the Endless. He would be the guy I would hire for that. You know what I mean? That's what you'd be interviewing for. But we'll see if his, you never know. Like, sometimes an artist will have X number of things in their portfolio in the public, and they have a whole other skill set we just don't know about. Once they're put in the right place, right? So
Right.
so we'll see where we're going, but it is going to be changing. There's no doubt about it. It's not going to look like the same. It's going to evolve, and from what I hear too, there's a lot of pushback towards more detail in Halo. So I see Halo and whatever Halo iterations we start seeing going forward, you're going to start seeing more detail. I mean, you're already seeing it in the Lone Wolf DLC. A lot of the attachments and the things they have on the Spartans, regardless if you like the designs or not, they do go the direction of more detail in regards to that. So we'll see where all kind of goes. But yeah, it looks like we're going to go the more detail route going forward. So
Okay. Well, okay. Let's move on. We talked about Halo enough.
yeah,
But, yeah. we always go.
we get sucked
We
into
love
it.
the. Yeah, we get sucked into it. We love the franchise so much. You know what I'm saying? Just, oh, gosh. I just, but I don't know. I mean, and listen, for me, I would be fine. My last point on this was I would be fine if Halo is not the flagship because, like I said, when I first started talking about this part of the topic, is that Halo is not going to go anywhere because Halo is just too unique. There's no game like it. The only game that's close to it in a sense is Gears. That's it. That's it. And there's no game like Gears. So there could be Destiny. It is more popular in a sense for right now for like people playing it concurrently and stuff like that.
People oversell
But it
Destiny on how many people are
yeah,
concurrently playing it. You know,
oh,
like they had success,
either way, it's
but
more popular now than Halo Infinite. That's a fact. But I mean,
mm,
and listen,
I don't know.
I'm not the big Destiny. I'm not the big Destiny fan like that either. The story is so out there. There's only I've liked the DLCs more than I like playing Destiny 2. Destiny 2, the story was just absolutely average from my perspective. Like but the one thing that the game has always been great at is the gameplay, is the gunplay and content. It brings content and they know how to bring content. Um they've regardless of what you might think
They've
about the
been
stories and everything else,
consistent about bringing out stuff.
they've
That
been
makes sense.
very,
Yeah.
very consistent. And that is something that we have not seen from 343 compared to what we've seen from Bungie doing work with Destiny. They seem to learn from their major and I wouldn't call it a failure, but it was a from their bad decision making from Destiny 1. Because once after they did that and they did the DLC, I think they didn't get that right until they dropped the Taking King. And then after that, then Destiny 2 was just kind of like right behind it. So they learned their lesson. And that took what, about three years, three and a half years before they got it right? Because I think Destiny came out
I really felt like it
the
took the whole entire game generation for them to figure it out. Because
well,
Destiny 1 was very early in Xbox One, PS4
very early.
era.
Yeah, it
Yeah,
came out like that within that year, that same year of the or that second year of the new of the Xbox One, PlayStation 4.
yeah, and then it took them
Yeah,
two, but even like
yeah,
regardless if you like two and you're a huge fan of it, it took a while. It took a couple of DLCs for them to kind of get that stride. That was also when they separation from Activision.
right.
Yeah, I wonder what's going to go on with them too with that partnership with Sony. Will see
Well, if Sony leaves them alone, they'll be fine.
yeah, they're a weird company, man. Like they're like, oh, we want our independence, and then they sign up of they leave Microsoft, they sign up for Activision, right?
Right.
And then they have that independent spirit, and they're like, well, we got to leave Activision, right? And now we're doing independent work, but now they sign up of an like. It's almost like they have that inspiration to be independent, but I don't know if they really bring in the money they want to. Right. And it's just why they always have to sign these different contracts. And it's interesting because, Sony is signing up and bringing them on for like the idea as games as a service stuff. But to be honest with you, the reason why they claim they signed up with Activision is because they understood games as a service better than anybody. Right? So it's like it's like you're learning from the person that learned from the other person. It's a strange place to be, but
because Activision, I'm sorry, because Bungie learned from Activision.
Yes, that was
Activision knows how to do it,
and that's the whole reason why they signed with Activision originally. That's why when people didn't realize why they did that, at least that's what they're saying, and it makes sense. You look at how they scale things, and there's a lot of similarities to their formula in regards to that. So Yeah, it's interesting. We'll see where that kind of goes from there. I agree. If people are hands off with them, though, I think they'll continue to do well. I think their next big push, if they go this way, because I look at games how they trend, not necessarily where they spike. Um, from a trending wise, they're not really growing like what people think they are. So like the question is, if they release a third one, does that give a vitamin B shot of all the people that kind of maybe like signed off on the game to come back to the series, right? And then they have that influx of good content continuously going, then that will really push that series, I think, into the next stratosphere. But that's the same with any games as a service game. Like you can't be a publisher these days and just release a game and expect content will carry you over to 6 months. You got to be a lot more savvy than that. You have to
A
go
lot
in
more
with,
savvy.
you have to have the game plan. You have to have, the barrel loaded going into these games as a service, because now you're in an environment where there's lots of games as a service and lots of games as a service releasing content on a regular basis in regards to that. And so if you don't come prepared, you're just going to get forgotten about, to be honest with you. So
All right. Okay. So okay, let's move on because I wanted to have another point, but no, we're going to move.
yeah, it's
We're getting
fine.
away from it.
It's
All
fine.
right. So
It's good.
let's talk about uh we'll get to that one later. Let's go right into one of this controversy that's been going around here for the last couple of months. Once we started finding out about The Last of Us getting a remake, pretty much. And
Okay.
the controversy is not because of the remake, because the remake looks absolutely fantastic and so damn good that it's going to make me try to go back and play it.
Was
Once they
was that the
what?
one they showed on the Jeff Keighley's Summer Fest one?
Yes,
Yeah, it
yes.
was kind of untraditional because they didn't show it on Sony stage. They showed it on Keighley's stage.
Yeah, they showed on Keith. That was the last thing that
Yeah,
they
gotcha.
showed on Keeley's, because Keeley got to end it on the PlayStation note. But
Yeah,
um,
that's
but
fine.
but it looked amazing. I mean, and then for every other screenshot that they've showed, things like it looks stupendous. But the controversy is the price. There's the PlayStation. There's some people from the PlayStation community that try to tell you, well, it's quality, so therefore $70 is that. But the game has been out 3 to 4 different times. And so then you have people that has this pushback of saying, "Look, I mean, I bought this game twice. I should get some kind of discount at least for showing commitment to buy this game again."
Okay.
And then you got other people that just come out and just say, "Look, I mean, this is just way too much money for a game that's already been out that has no changes and also had the multiplayer uh cut from it." So where are you at on it? I mean, it's $70. They also have a $99 version, which I think that's like a collector's or something like that or whatever. But they have those too, and that's it. I mean, do you think that that's reasonable to ask for that for the enhancements that they're adding to it? Because it's all well, it's mostly visual. They definitely will have from also where there's a little bit confusion is that they said that they're going to have the same type of gameplay elements of The Last of Us 2, but some people find that to be a little bit confusing because you could do different things in The Last of Us 2 that you could not do in the first game. And since this game doesn't have any new elements, you can't, crawling on the ground and things like that just doesn't seem to be making sense. So I
Yeah.
don't know. What do you think? What do you think? That's just it's really confusing, and I don't understand me personally why it would be $70. Am I from that, but that's my opinion. What do you think?
Well, I guess if you're asking about would I pay $70 for it, the answer is no.
Okay.
But then I'm not a huge Last of Us fan, so I try to put myself in the characteristics of a Last of Us fan, and I don't think I would either. And then the parallels I try to bring is like I'm a Gears fan. I'm a Halo fan. Would I pay $70 for them to remake my favorite Halo? In regards to that, and the answer is no. I wouldn't do that. In regards to that, so that's kind of my take on that. Wait just a second here, guys. I got an update warning, and it was going to start updating in the middle of the stream, and I had said no, 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 no. I had
Uh-oh.
to shut that down.
Uh-oh.
So that so that's kind of my take on is I don't know if I would pay for even my favorite series, no matter how much work they go into at $70 again. Just the it's not enough. I guess in regards to that, but that takes me to my other point. It's the free market, right? So the free market dictates it. So if Sony wants to be bold and say, "Hey, $70, it's what it's worth," and those fan base says it's what they were willing to pay for $70, I'm not going to contradict those people. But the question is, how quickly is that price going to drop, right?
Right.
And in regards to that, it seems like it dropped pretty. I don't know, kind of shake my memory, but on when they did the Last of Us remake stuff on PlayStation 4, right?
Mhm.
You remember that? And they charged you again. I think there was a controversy back then when they
It was
did that.
60. Yeah, it was
Yeah,
60 bucks.
people said something about it.
Yeah,
And
because it came out just at that point, like a year and a half, 2 years
but
afterwards. Yeah.
what happened like a month and a half afterwards? They started giving away with consoles, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
It was pretty quick, and I mean, I don't know the exact time frame, so if someone knows, go ahead and post that in the YouTube chat with Mega's channel. But as far as I understand, it was pretty soon afterwards. It wasn't like 6 or 8 months or anything like that. It was kind of a surprise for a lot of people in regards to that. So that's fine. They used it to help boost their the console sales and stuff like that. So to be more bold to charge more money this time around, right, on something that they discounted relatively quickly, the question is, what will the free market dictate on this? And I wouldn't be surprised if the price drops sooner than people think it does. And if it doesn't, oh well, it's done well, right? In regards to, but we'll see. For me, for my favorite title, I wouldn't pay that much for a remake. I just wouldn't. So, but then again, I'm not everyone. Every gamer is going to be a little bit different on that. I mean, what's your take? Would you pay that much for your favorite game
No,
title? Your
no,
favorite
no.
game
They
title?
could. If they brought Tekken 1 remaster, charge $70, I'm not buying it.
Okay, let's say they do Tekken Collection, and all of them are remastered visually,
Oh,
right?
that's different. That's different.
But you
I
see what
think
I'm saying? Like, what is the threshold for you to be able to say $70 is worth it
because
for you?
it's content. Okay, it's content driven, right? Like, okay, so
Okay.
let's just say, for instance, they're doing a full remaster with the multiplayer, and they're charging, and you know what I'm saying, and they're charging the $70. I'm like, well, it's steep, but I could live with that. I could live with that. I'm not the fan of the $70 game anyway, but I know that eventually it's going to hit everybody. There's going to be Xbox games that's going to be $70. So
Yeah.
it's just going to eventually happen. Um but to take away a feature that was in the original game and then and add some other elements to it that will it looks like I said, it looks amazing, but I'm not paying $70 for it. Like if Gears, okay, I would a Gears collection.
Marcus Phoenix
They
collection
say
that people keep rumoring and throwing
the
that
the,
out
the
there.
people that
Yeah.
keep throwing that out there. A Marcus Phoenix collection, but it's just the stories, no multiplayer. If they charge $70, I would not get it. I wait, but it will be in Game Pass, so I just Game Pass. I wouldn't.
So,
I would wait till it get on a sale and then I buy it for what I feel that the price,
okay.
wherever that price drops. Which for me, if you don't have the multiplayer for the Marcus Phoenix collection, it would be to me $35. You know what I'm saying? I don't
Well,
care how pretty the graphics are, but I've already played the game before. I played these games before. I don't.
uh,
I already know what's happening. I'm just watching these games be played visually better and have a better feeling performance wise. But hell, I could just boot that up on my PC and then I could get that better performance. So,
yeah.
yeah, no, I'm not paying $70 for that. Now,
Well,
for
if they
go ahead.
remastered it though, like they remastered the textures and so stuff that wasn't available on the PC version of the game, right? Like they redid them.
Right, right.
Does that change your perspective on it?
No,
Okay,
Now,
so
now if you take,
I'm
now
trying to
if you
figure out where
cut
that
something from it,
threshold. Yeah, I'm trying to
yeah,
figure out where the
yeah,
threshold is for you because everyone's a little bit different, right? Because everyone has a
yeah.
different favorite game. So for people that have, my point is, if you're a Last of Us fan, like this means something differently than it does, say,
Oh
us.
yeah, oh yeah, yeah.
That's not
Right.
necessarily the top tier for games we enjoyed. So trying to put myself in that perspective, I even trying to like, what was Halo 2 anniversary released as? How much was that? Was it $40?
I thought no, that was 15, $20
No,
because
when
they
it
added it to
released.
the oh the Master Chief collection was
No.
40 was 40
So
$50.
so what I'm saying is, so that when they remastered 1 and 2, right?
Oh, you're talking about way back in the you talking about the first remaster or
Yeah,
whatever,
the
right?
first remaster of 2. Like,
Okay,
yeah,
yeah, no, I didn't even
so
buy it. No, I
you
didn't
know,
buy it.
yeah, but I think it was like $40 when they released it, right?
Oh
So
yeah, I didn't buy
so
it.
they didn't
I
even, it
didn't buy
wasn't
it.
even full price, right? And they
Yeah,
remastered everything. Like
yeah,
the
yeah, I
models
didn't
are
buy it.
different, the textures are different. Like but it's overlaid over the top of the existing engine. So now you can only
Mhm.
toggle back and forth between the original version and all the remaster stuff. But it was only like, I think, $40 back then. Now, obviously games are a little more expensive now. Like I'm trying to give people a little bit more leeway.
Right.
But that seems like to be the right price, right? Like to me, it seems like if you're going to offer all these features, but it's a rerun, then you have to still offer it at a lower price. I mean, that's just kind of my
Right.
take. But then again, the free market will dictate that in regards to this. So the big question is, most games sell their most in the 3 to 6 months after they release. So the question is, how quickly does that price drop in that 3 to 6 months will dictate how well it did in regards to that. So my question to you, do you think it's going to drop in 3 months?
Oh, absolutely, it's gonna drop. It's just a
Okay.
single player experience. I
How,
mean, it's not
how
if
quick?
if it had to, yeah, it's gonna drop quick. I think that puppy by Black Friday is gonna be 35. So I'll cop it then, or
Okay.
I'll wait for the PC version. One or the
So
other. I'm
you're
not.
before the end of the
Yeah.
year, you're saying the price is going to drop dramatically.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
That price is gonna drop. Yeah.
Okay.
It's gonna drop to 50 by I'm saying Black Friday is going to be 35, but I say it's going to drop to 50 in before the end of the year.
Okay.
Um
Makes sense.
yeah, so there's no doubt about that. But yeah, no, I mean, okay, so what is your limitation? Okay, what game, your favorite game of all time, it hits full remaster, $70. What game would that be? If there's any game that
I
would
don't think
be,
there's any game that would be
yeah,
that way.
it's not any game. Like when you said the Tekken collection fully remastered. Well, that's what I'm saying. And then like if you put online net code on all of those tech, and then that I could do 70. I'll
So
do that because
so you're saying a
there's
collection. A
yeah, a
collection will
collection
justify
will
collection.
justify it.
So a collection with a remaster attached to it would justify that
Yes.
price. Okay.
Right. Right.
Yeah, so like whatever. So let's say I'm playing Ninja Gaiden right now.
But you got to add a little bit something to it. Like I said, like because there was no online for Tekken
well,
1, 2, and
let's
3.
let's say this. So let's say like
Yeah.
I'm playing Ninja Gaiden right now. So that's the only thing I can keep thinking about because I'm playing through the third one, and the story's fresh in my mind. Once they gave me a Ninja Gaiden collection, it was all three on the original Xbox, but it was also the original 8-bit ones, and you threw in the arcade one from back in the day, right?
Hmm.
In there, and you remastered the last one on top of that, and you added a co-op way to play the game. Hell yeah, I would pay $70 for that. And that's not even my
Okay.
favorite game, but you've
Right.
padded it up enough, right? Like enough of stuff
Right.
that, and it is a genre that I enjoyed, and it has a history, like a long history with me, growing up. Then yeah, I would pay for that. Or if it's like I was able to buy the Link collection, right? You
Oh,
give
okay.
me
Yeah.
every single
Yeah.
Link, and you take the last. So let's say take a Cure of Time, which is like the one that everyone really really fond of, right? And you
Mhm.
remaster that one out of all of them, but you have the collection with everything. And the reason you remaster that one because it's such an old version of a game, like it needs the
Mhm.
retouch to kind of stay with the times and that sort of thing. And
Yeah.
then let's just say you did something like where oh, you can toggle between like the realistic mode and a cell shaded mode or something like that on the fly,
Yeah,
something
yeah.
cool like that. Then yeah, you include all the 8-bit stuff, all that sort of stuff. Like I see the value in that, and I don't play Zelda anymore, but like I see the value in that. I'm like, yeah, I would have to cop that, right? Like that's enticing for $70. But like I don't know, like there's a threshold. Every gamer is a little bit different, right? Like on this
Yeah.
sort of forgiveness of where they're willing to pay. But yeah, it is an interesting question. Is what does it take for
What's the
what's the threshold
limitation?
for 70
Yeah,
bucks
what's
for a
yeah.
remaster? Like what do you have to get it given? I think collection is the answer. Like a collection
Yeah,
with a
yeah.
remaster would be
Right.
the answer, and you have to have a long history too, so you get like a lot of games to come along with that.
Right.
In
Yeah.
regards
Yeah.
to that. So
Just giving me, yeah, taking things away. Like that's what I'm saying. Like, I mean, if they did the multiplayer, if PlayStation offered the multiplayer with the game that they got, then I would say okay, they're I mean because you got you got a lot of replay value with that with the multiplayer alone, and especially it's going to have redefined graphics and all of this and all of that. That's great. Like I'm like I could see. And I went in and I would tell, other gamers that would be looking at, that's a little bit too much of an asking price. I'm like, no, the multiplayer aspect is reasonable, especially if it's a full remaster, but you're taking away stuff like okay, like I know nobody haven't said anything about this, but I plan on trying to get that here in a little bit. The Cowabunga collection.
yeah, all the
That's
original Ninja Turtle games,
yeah,
right?
yeah, but you're getting the Ninja Turtle games from the NES, the arcade games, the fighters. You're getting a a slew of games, and that thing I think already when I looked, I think it was like 30, it was $40 when it was $40, I believe, when it first came out. But I think because it came out on the 7th, I mean on the 12th, and so it's already got a price drop. So and I think it was like $35. Like that's reasonable. I could do that. And like what you were saying with Ninja Gaiden, I would do that for $70, no doubt about that. Like, that's you got to give me something more. Like, okay, um,
So
the Capcom Fighting Collection. I just recently bought that. That was $40. They gave you all of the Darkstalkers games, rollback netcode. They gave you Street Fighter 2. They gave you Gym Fighter. They also give you two other fighters that has never touched the US that were Japanese arcade games,
yeah,
rollback netcode, and then you got like a gallery, you got all this stuff, $40. So I mean that come on, man. No. Sony tripping on that. Sony's tripping.
yeah, it's a value
Something's
proposition
wrong.
thing, right? So,
Yeah,
but there's no reason to get upset at Sony. I'm not upset at Sony for charging seventy
no, because I mean they're
bucks.
going to make their money. I mean that's the thing.
Yeah,
I'm not tripping about. I mean, I know for myself, I'm not going to pay, and that doesn't matter. And that's not just because it's a Sony thing. That's just going off of what we were saying. Like if they did a Gears collection, Marcus Phoenix collection with and they take away the multiplayer, I'm not paying $70 for that. Xbox would be tripping.
if
You
they
know
had
what I'm
a
saying? No, you're not
if they
doing
had a
that.
Marcus Phoenix collection and it had all the multiplayer, I would still not pay $70 for it, right? Like,
No,
and it's
no,
not that I hate the game. I actually love that game, right? But I love that
right.
series. I am actually more of a fan of that than I am Halo. In regards to that, that's one of my favorite series on the Xbox. But it's a value proposition art question, right? And so
Yeah.
what you're probably seeing on the internet, because I saw the argument of between $70. I didn't realize it was geared around this game or anything like that. But
Mhm.
there's not really an argument to be had. If you're the type of person that will pay $70, you're the type of person that will pay $70 for that game. But
Right.
it doesn't diminish the people that wouldn't pay $70 for that game. Like, and I'm sure Sony's just sitting there back watching, seeing what it is, right? And then when they release it, they'll
Mhm.
see what it is. And I'm sure they have a roadmap and a plan when if they release at $70 and it's not selling, they'll probably drop the price. I mean, every publisher does that, right? So it's not even a
Right.
knock on them as a platform provider, or the person that's looks over the series, from kind of a publisher perspective. So yeah, they'll do fine in regards to that. I just
Oh yeah, they'll
my
do it.
question
No
is,
doubt.
when is it going to drop, and that will tell people a lot of stuff. And
Right.
and the question is, how much money are they dumping into when Were they going to get back on it? And there's those questions too, just from just studying the industry, trying to figure out what's going on. But at the end of the day, for those people that are excited, I hope you guys get a chance to play it sooner than later. And if it doesn't sell, I hope they find the right price threshold that everyone wants to buy the game. They can't pass up on the game.
Well,
You know what I
they
mean?
already
So
went, but see, that's the thing. They can't go backwards now. They've already unleashed the Pandora's box. They're all set with every game that's going to be coming out. Um, Going forward on PlayStation 5 is going to be $70.
yeah,
And then that they can't go back now
well they
because
can.
then
They can always go
they
down lower down the road.
they could, but I think now they've made the decision to just, you know, this is where we're going. This is where we're going to price our games. This is where we feel like our games are more value, they're valuable. They're, it's just these are um,
Has anyone?
quality games, whatever games, whatever. But that's
Yeah,
how they
so I
feel.
mean,
So
you've been watching this more than I have, but has they or have well, system hasn't been out for that long. So, but let's say, are they dropping it from their base release price sooner? Is my question. So, for example, a game normally would launch at $60, right? And let's say a first party title from them didn't drop in price for, let's say, 3 to 6 months. Pick a month, right? Are you seeing it drop in price from the base price of 70 sooner than when they released it at 60? Is my question.
I don't see it varies. It's according what game it is. Okay, so like for instance, um, I'm looking at okay. So like right now I could get I'm looking at Horizon Forbidden West right
Okay.
now.
Yeah, that came out this beginning of this year.
Yeah, it came out at the beginning of this year. I could get I mean it's definitely a price drop. On eBay I can get it for $45.
Well, that doesn't count. It has to be like a GameStop or
Excuse me, sorry, excuse me. I just had to sneeze. Okay, so like on Amazon, it's
yeah, there you go.
they have the I think there was the $80 version. It's down to 69.
Okay.
Then I'm looking at Gamefly. Oh, Gamefly got well, I don't know if Gamefly I guess
It's
Gamefly would
usually
be
easiest copies.
considered
Like I want to try apples to apples
okay,
comparison. So
brand
like
new.
the brand new, the brand new, because that's a fair comparison. Like yeah, used
Okay.
copy, like that's something different.
Okay, PlayStation itself at its store is still $60.
Okay.
Um,
So it dropped $10
oh,
from Sony.
it dropped $10 for the West Launch Edition, but there's also a regular standard edition for $44 on Amazon.
Okay, so it dropped 20, a little less than $20, right? So,
Yeah, a little less. Yeah.
you know, yeah, so that gives you an idea. So in 6 months, so the question is they're dropping. So that would always drop before. My question is, does that give them more overhead on the drop? And is there a psychology behind having a discounted price at 45 versus like they would normally have at 35 before? Does that make sense? But more people move on it,
Right. Yeah,
so
because it'll be 10 more extra dollars that
so
I got you. Yeah.
so I think we're focusing on the 70, and there's maybe a bigger picture going on there, right? Where they're making more money on the discounted price than they were doing
They were
before
on
the
that's
necessarily.
the
That's not, because there's a lot of numbers that do move when these copies get discounted in
Oh, well,
regards to
hold
that.
on.
So
I'm just looking at this right here. Oh, okay. Well, they're talking. I just seen that they were doing I'm looking at what's this art? What's the name of this game? Well, hold on. Oh, GameSpot.com.
hmm,
They're saying that you could get Horizon Forbidden West for $40 on the PS5.
okay.
Um, so I guess I guess there's a sale going on or something like that. So
Yeah.
people are interested in that. Yeah, but I mean, yeah, I mean, their games normally drop down. What I need to be looking at because is Gran Turismo. Uh,
Oh yeah, because that's a more recent one. It released at $70.
yeah,
Okay.
it releases $70. I could get it for $50.
For regular edition.
Uh, for standard edition. Yep. Um,
But was it released in? So is it a new copy
at
or is
GameStop, I'm looking at GameStop.
not
That
a
said
used
that
though, right? A new copy.
okay.
We have to compare new to new because it just wouldn't be
Yeah,
fair.
yeah. It's not used.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Game new, $50.
Okay.
Um, there's the launch GT launch edition for 54.
Okay.
The let's see, Amazon. It's 40. It's 44.
Okay. And when did that release? 3 months ago.
I came out February,
Okay, so it's about 4 or 5 months.
February, March. It came out March. Came out March.
Okay, so it's closer to
Came
three.
out March.
So I mean,
March,
yeah,
April, something like that.
yeah.
Yeah.
So that's interesting. I mean, it's something to follow. It's something to look at. But then again, I don't fault gamers for not spending $70. I don't fault gamers for wait until it makes sense for them financially. In regards to that, and I think eventually they'll have to stop on 70. Like if the market dictates that
Yeah.
they need to go lower. The market will dictate it. So, I mean, they're all in right now. The question is, what happens if their competition starts at a lower price? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Ones of Microsoft and a lot of their pricing, starting at 50 is probably the better thing and gets more people in the door. There's more money to be made there, even though it's, because you're making all in quantity. I mean, sorry, quantity, not necessarily more, more money per unit sell, or you're doing more units, right? Like it's really that sort of conversation, right? So, it's interesting. We'll see where Sony goes with it. I don't think $70 will be their long term plan. I don't think that's going to stick.
I think that I think this is it. I think that is their long. I think it will stick because um of the popularity of certain titles. Now, I think for other titles, I think that they'll go on sale more. And I think now since you made me realize about the strategy of like, well, we know this certain game is not going to sell very well at $70, but we can still get the money back when we discount it.
Yeah.
So
And then
so
it
so
gives it a
that
higher
yeah.
perceived value because originally it was
Hmm.
$70, in regards to
Hmm.
that. So
Yeah.
there's that
Yeah.
argument to, there's a lot of aspects to it. It'll be interesting. I personally
Yeah.
think the industry's starting price is going to go down eventually, even with all the inflation and everything else going on in the
Oh,
world. I think
I don't
eventually it
think
will,
so.
because the volume of gamers keeps going up, right? So
Mhm.
there's more gamers than there ever has been. There's more ways to game than there ever has been. So you have to compete in that space in regards to, there's more titles being released than there ever has been.
Oh, yeah, that part's true.
In regards to that. So that those are things I think that will drive down the price of that. And then you also, people could keep talking about development head pricing keep going up. Well, you're talking about labor pricing, right? Like, so that will go up. But what happens now? We got studios that don't have to have nearly as many staff to get the same quality, right? So then you start seeing smaller and smaller teams. That means more and more products. So I think that eventually it's going to drive the price down for everybody in regards to that. So we'll
I
see.
mean, that
We'll
possibility, yeah,
see. 2 or 3
see
years
that.
from
I
now,
mean,
we'll see. So
I mean, that would be great. I could see that. But I think where the catch is, what they're doing is, if you've noticed in the last 5 years, um, they've had more frequent sales, digital sales.
yeah,
Than normal. Like, I mean, it used to be far in between to get a digital sale in, last gen in the first 4 years or so. Yeah, but then all of a sudden they started revving them up, and so now, like right now, Xbox has a huge sale going on right now. PlayStation, I think, had theirs last week, or they'll have theirs afterwards because they always kind of do them back and forth. They never do them at the same time. Um, so yeah, no, I think that I think that's going to be the key, because they know that eventually these games depreciate a lot quicker, especially single player games. Single player games drop quick unless they are just like like a Sekiro. Sekiro is one game that is really, it doesn't drop. That game finally got down to $30. I'm waiting for the game to get down to 20 so I can pick it up But it
Gotcha.
just refused to. But
Yeah, well, that means it's probably doing
so
well.
we'll see.
That's
Oh yeah, no,
it's
it's probably
probably
still selling well. Yeah,
yeah, and that's usually an example of a product doing well, or they feel like they can continue to sell at that price point, and they want to
hmm
they'll get a spike if they dropped it, but the question is, do they have to get that spike? Is the
No,
question.
I don't think they do. I think that game is probably
Exactly.
doing well,
Yeah.
and we'll
So
see about the price of Elden Ring because I don't even. I'm sure Elden Ring. I don't know if Elden Ring is gone.
yeah.
I don't know.
Well, it's
It might have, but we'll see.
yeah. Well, eventually it will, and just like any other game. But
Yeah.
that's the whole point of that's the advantage digital always has, right? That flexibility. I mean, that's something that Steam introduced to the game industry so quickly, right? Like, there's a reason why PC games go on sale all the time, right? Because they understand the free market dictates the price of that product. And so they can see that stuff live, and so that's what Microsoft has access to. That's what Sony has access to on their platforms. So they're just going to drive the price down lower.
Oh no, the price has gone down. Well, that's okay. That's
I'm just
true.
saying it's more fluid on the price fluctuation that you're
Yeah,
going
it's
to be
40.
seeing.
It's 42. It's $42 now. It's 44, $42. Yeah. So
Okay.
new for new. So yeah, and in some places you can get it for 36 bucks, $37. So I mean, yeah, so it's gone. So and that's I mean, these games usually just they usually just go down. So um single player games do that. And that's why I think that you see more and more of these, and I think that's why Sony is so uh they looked at the situation and was like, all right, let's just give Bungie what they want, because when they drop these games as a service, we'll benefit mightily because we'll make that money back tenfold. Um,
Well,
so yeah.
I mean, it lowers. I mean, like the biggest things of games as a service, what people don't realize, it lowers the risk of the product. In regards to that, so you're making the money up over a longer period of time versus that initial 3 to 6 months. You're also keeping your game more relevant, but there's a certain point though, like that market's going to get flooded. You know what I mean?
hmm
And you know, we're feeling it now. Like as somebody that likes to play a lot of games, I know you like to play a lot of games. It's not about the money right now. It's the time. It's having the
Oh
time
yeah,
to do
about the
it right.
time. Yep.
Like I have the new Outriders DLC. I'm looking forward to playing it, but I have other things I have to get done on my gaming list before I can even start it, right? Because then I'll go to it and leave it, and all that sort of stuff. So, games as a service, it eats up into people's time. Like let's talk about Bot, right? Like he plays, we give him a hard time. He plays Destiny a lot. He knows, I know, like we all know, right? Like it's not, you take the jokes aside, he plays the game a lot. Well, does that affect his ability to play other games? And the answer is yes. And I know he would say yes to that, right? Because it eats up a lot of his time in regards to, I don't think it's time he regrets. I think he really does enjoy Destiny that
No,
much.
he enjoys his
Yeah.
time. Definitely.
So,
Yeah.
but that does play a factor into that. So when everyone's doing games as a service and because they see the less of the risk and, making the money over a longer period of time, when are you gonna get into the fact that we're starting eating each other's pie, right? Like there's only so much pie for games as a service. So the question is, what's going to happen? And it's kind of that same thing. Many will try, but few will succeed in the long run. And so it's going to be interesting. Like Sony, I think also feeling the pressure they need to be on this because they want to have some games as a service. They got those hooks into those gamers, right? Because then you run into issues where other those hooks are evolved on other games and not their games, right? And so then they're kind of left high and dry. But I think there's also a value there of having a standalone experience, right? Because then as a gamer you can go, well, I can take a break from this game, right? I can play this next Last of Us or whatever it may be, and it'll take 2 or 3 weeks of my time, but that's it. I got that satisfaction in getting something done, accomplished. I had a great experience, right? And that bite-sized morsel, whatever it was, I can go back to my games as a service game normally. So, there's something to be said about having a good standalone experience. I think there's a huge market for that as well. It's just they can coincide with one another. But if everybody goes one direction or the other, that's where certain people are, I think, going to be left high and dry. So,
Yeah, and okay, now and before we move on to our last topic, I do want to address this because I'm seeing this on Twitter right now when somebody's saying, well, we see folks complaining about Stray being 4 hours long. Well, it's anywhere from 3 to 4 hours long.
Okay.
And there's been people that's saying like, that's a little much for $30, right? And then so then the next thing that this person says, well, first $70 is too much. Now $30 is too. Why don't these people stop just quit gaming because this is ridiculous? It's about the value of it. Like, I mean, to each their own. I don't care what you spend on your games. If you want to spend $70 for a 4 hour game, that's on you. I will never do that. I don't care how fun
Yeah.
that game was for that 4 hours. I just am not going to do that. $30 for 3 to 4 hours. Look, if you want to do that, that's your business. I'm not. I'm just not. I mean, because I could put that $30, add another 60. I mean, add another 30 to it, and then I have me a complete game that I can play 100 and some hours, or even more if it's a multiplayer, something like that. It's about, to me, it's always been about the value of what that game brings.
Well, I
Of
think
course,
I think
yeah,
people gamers also look at value differently. Like you and I look at it
right.
differently. Like
Everybody, yeah,
and
we look at it differently. Like,
it's
I mean,
not
if you
it's
think,
not that you're
yeah,
wrong or I'm right. Like for example,
right,
so you look at it the time played, in regards to that. I look at it time enjoyed,
right.
in a product, right? So
Hmm.
if
Hmm.
I'm not saying you're not enjoying your stuff, but you get where I'm going with that, right? So like if I feel like something's just filler and I'm just kind of going through the process and I'm not being amazed by it, I'm like, okay, well I have to do this thing so I can do the next thing that I really am going to enjoy. I tend to look at those games a little bit differently, right? Like sometimes that it's almost a negative for me, right? So, I would pay 6 hours for just just Michael Bay moments from front to back, enjoyable, far as that goes, because I'll replay that a bunch of different times because I enjoyed it that much, right? So it just depends on what's going on there, like for example, you tend to be, I think, a little bit more flexible on what you enjoy in regards to
Right.
that, and
Yeah.
and so for you, like that variety of what a product can offer is there's a lot of value there. Not to put too much in your mouth in regards to that, but at least that's what you
Right.
expressed to me over time. So
Yeah. No, and that's the thing for me is like, I mean, it's more so about the um it's what's the content, like how much content am I getting out of that $30? Like, I
yeah,
mean, listen, it's if you having a blast with it for the whole 30, I mean, like I said, like, to each their own, but you also got to look at it from this standpoint too. Stop bitching at the people that's bitching about the $30. Just try to understand what they're talking about. Like, if maybe because y'all both will be in agreement at some point about
yeah.
what the situation may be overall. Like, oh yeah, I got you on that. And then because the same could be said is that game is on PlayStation Plus, right? Well, then, but there's guys out there that will come out and they'll tell you, well, you're not supporting the devs by not buying the game. So make that make sense, because if you're paying a monthly fee, you're paying more money into whichever service, PlayStation or
I'll
Xbox.
I'll represent
Eh,
myself, but not only me as a dev, but other devs on this. That's
Yeah,
our problem to figure out, not
right,
yours.
right.
And I'm not trying to say that as a jerk or anything like that, but when you spend money on a product
Mhm,
to develop a product, you have to figure out what is the market value of that product. And so that's
mhm.
something you work with your publisher. That's why you have a publisher, right? Outside of them being the money man to front that for you, they have to figure out a business model of what your product is to make it commercially viable, in regards to that. So that is that should never be the consumer's concern in regards to that. Like, I know gamers can be very generous and stuff like that, and that's why people donate, like when you're doing Twitch or doing YouTube and things like along those lines. But at the end of the day, right, if you're entertaining and you're making a product, your job is to make a good product and entertain, and then the free market will dictate if you will get paid for that, in regards to that. That's what's going on there.
Right.
Through the generosity of a gamer, feel like you had a great time. I'm gonna buy some extra DLC. That's great, whatever.
Hmm.
But if you don't feel like it's the same value, we should never be in a position as an industry to demonize the consumer in that way.
No.
Does that make sense?
Right. Right.
Regardless of
Oh yeah.
how irrational the person may be,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Like
If they
that's
want to spend 70 for a game like that, yeah. If they don't want to, it's one of those things.
yeah,
It's like
it's their business.
we gotta, yeah, it was their business. But again, like it's okay. Bright Bright Memory Infinite's going to be dropping here, and I believe that game is going to be $25.
Yeah, I already
It could
paid
be
for it.
yeah, is it $25?
No, I paid for. You can do the thing where you're able to pay for it. Like I think at launch, it was a little bit more than. It was kind
Okay.
of like an early access thing where you're able to have the access to like what he's done so
So it,
far,
right.
and then you get the final game when it comes out. I think it was like, if I remember correctly, it was $40 back then.
Oh, okay, was
And
it
it may be
$40
wrong
back
though,
then?
but
Okay,
then again,
so like okay, that's just one point on that. So I got Bright Memory on the PC. I paid $15 for what it offered for what 35 minutes.
yeah,
I didn't know how long it was when I first got it, but regardless, I'd say I did it because it said that you would give you that you'll get the initial game for free or whatever. So I didn't think the game was going to be extremely long, but it was around 3.5 hours to beat. Okay, so all right for $15. So the console version when it drops, because I didn't buy the because I think now I think I can get it for like $4 or whatever.
yeah,
So I might get that or whatever, but see how much the discount is. But if that game is $30 and I know that game is 3.5 hours, I'm not paying it. It doesn't matter what console it's on. I'm
that's
not paying
fine.
$30 for it. Yeah, I'm not doing that. But the game is entertaining as hell. I enjoyed it from beginning to end. It's just that for me, it's like there's no replay value. I mean, there is replay value if you want to go back and use different weapons to kill your enemies, but it's just the value's not there for me. And so, but for people who want to do that, that's great. That's fine. I'm
Well,
just,
let's say
um,
you took it to the next step. Let's say you reviewed the product, right? You put it
mhm.
on, post it on your YouTube channel,
Yeah,
right? And making your decisions based on that price. There are some
mhm.
people that are gonna think in the exact same mindset as you, and that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. And there's other people that are gonna be like, no, I see value in it where you don't, right?
Right,
And that's
right.
the thing is like that gamers tend to think of, and this is I don't know, this is something I realize as an adult as well. I do this. Like I tend to think in my mindset, and then everyone else thinks in that same mindset. As you become older, you realize that's not the case at all in regards to that,
Right,
right?
right.
People approach things in life differently, and so we're talking about purchases of video games. So people are going to approach this differently. They're going to find value in different things, in regards to that, and that's okay. That's totally fine. Like in regards to that. So, you know, I don't know. The whole guilting of a gamer if they're not buying something when they're brand new, that just drives me nuts. Like, why
Yeah,
you don't treat your
same.
customer, you don't treat your customers that way. Like that is not, even if the person's like the biggest jerk in the
Well, it's not.
world, like you
Uh,
don't do that to your
uh,
customer. You just don't do
but
it.
I don't.
It's just
Well,
silly.
I get that, but I think it's more of it's the community itself. People that try to shame people about, well, this game is 30, this game is 70, this game is this game is that. If a person feels that game is too much, ask them why. Now, if they just say, well, because it's a PlayStation game, then of course, then that's somebody that you don't need to be having a discussion with because they're ignorant. But if they give you legitimate reasons why they wouldn't spend that type of money for that type of game, hear them out.
Yeah.
And then you make the decision right then and there. But regardless, and then vice versa, if the person says, "Well, I want to play this game because I really enjoyed it. I feel it's one of my favorite games that I've ever played. I want to get the experience." So I feel $70 is this. But to tell people that just because you didn't pay, you're not going to pay $30 for Stray, or if you're not going to pay $70 for The Last of Us, that you're not considered a gamer. It's the dumbest shit I've ever heard. I think it's ridiculous because I think it's more of the thing of people are for me, it's like I say, for value. Valhalla. I just got finished beating Dawn of Ragnarok.
Yeah.
And
Named after me.
yes, Huh? What'd you
Yeah,
say?
it's named after me. I gotcha.
Oh, okay. Don, and not the Don. But anyway,
Yeah, just because
uh,
they misspelled it doesn't
D
mean it does. Yeah,
DAWN,
I
not
mean
DON.
they're not perfect. It's
Oh
okay.
my God. Stop it. But anyway, well, so one nugget too, it will definitely be another expansion. And that expansion is going to be ridiculous because the way they got that set up, everything and its mom is going at at Odin. I mean, it's gonna be nuts. But I mean, there was so much that DLC was $40. Paid for it. I put in 57 hours into it.
Okay.
I mean, if you just wanted to go through the story, it's probably about 25, 27 hours. But and if I wanted to do everything within the game, it's probably was going to give me around like 75 hours.
Yeah.
That's value. That's $40 for that. That's what I'm talking. And it's not and like I said, not every game has to be that way, but I'm just like, but you went out your way to make sure that we had plenty of content to sink our teeth into to get to enjoy. I'm going to support that. But
Well,
if you give me something, yeah,
let me ask
that's
you
just
this.
my
Let me ask
take
you
about
this.
that. Yeah.
When a
Hmm.
publisher does that, right, where they, sorry, publisher and developer make a product where you have that value proposition, right? Like, for
Hmm.
$50, I mean, sorry, for 50 hours, you got, you paid $40, right?
Right.
What is the residual feeling after you had that experience? It makes you go, well, if they release new DLC, right? I'm looking forward to it. I'm not being ripped off for what I get.
Right.
Does that make sense?
Right. Right.
So, and that's another thing that people need to kind of take a look into is,
Yeah. So when they do the
or
next one, it's for $40. I'm going to buy it.
regardless of what you're pricing your
Right.
product at, you got to make sure your customer feels good about the experience
Hmm.
afterwards. And if they feel like they didn't get the experience that's worth it, you release another product at a high price, they're going to be like, I don't know. You know what I mean? They're gonna
Hmm.
maybe take their money to other products in regards to that. So you gotta. It's interesting. It's interesting. It's a value proposition thing
Yeah.
in
Yeah.
regards
I
to, and I
mean,
think everyone's got, just like a lot of people will have a lot of leeway when it comes to different games and how they're released because
hmm.
some games have more goodwill with certain gamers than others, right? Right.
Right.
It's the same thing with price. I think certain people may feel like, hey, that $70 is worth it. What is $70 to them? And other people may be like, nah, it's not. But you also got to keep in mind there's competition out there. There's what PlayStation's doing with their games as a service, as far as
Oh,
and
I do have one more thing.
and then you have Game Pass and what they're doing, and then that does affect the perception of what the value of a product is too as well. So I mean those play into it. And Stadia and Luna, I mean obviously they're not as established, but they do play a factor into their business models and what they offer. So
Yeah. No, this is one right here. This is the kicker.
okay,
All right. So, um, NBA 2K is coming out. NBA 2K23 is coming out with a $150 edition. I would I'm like, what in the hell are they thinking? Like you know what I'm saying? Like, what? Then I seen what they offering in that $150 edition. And so I will be for the first time ever spending $150
well,
for
what are they
a game.
offering to make it worth it?
Okay. They're offering all the rest of all the
Yeah, of
extra
course.
content, VC, and all that stuff. But the one thing that I have not seen, which I think other sports games are going to implement going forward, they're offering NBA League Pass for all 12 months for free. I mean, included
So what does
with the
that mean
game.
to somebody that doesn't play that game?
Okay, so if you are an NBA fan, if you watch the NBA, the
Yeah.
NBA League Pass is a service that lets you watch every NBA game in its entirety for the whole year.
So legitimate
So
games,
yeah,
not just you
yeah,
playing the
real
video
life
game.
games.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah, real life games. And on top of you getting the video game, on top of all the extra perks that's within the video game.
So
Like I've
what would
yeah,
that go for on its own? Just out of curiosity.
100 the NBA League Pass by itself is $175 by itself.
Okay, cool.
because
Yeah.
I've had NBA League Pass for about 3 years.
So
I had the NBA League Pass and I had
so
NFL Ticket at the same time, uh, many moons ago, but it was
s-
expensive. So
so
like, yeah.
correct me if I don't understand this correctly, but
Mhm.
I think I got this. So you're saying if you buy the $150 version, you're
Yes.
essentially getting a discount on your NBA League Pass with a free game.
With a pretty much you're paying
Y-
for yeah, you're getting League Pass for free by paying
No, I'm
for a
saying
game and content. Yeah.
so League Pass is $175, right?
Well, 20 you're paying $25 for League Pass, pretty much.
Okay, but you know what I'm saying. Here's what I'm saying. Like you're
Yeah.
by paying this, you're getting it at a lesser price than if you just did League Pass by itself.
Right, right, right.
And you're getting a game on top of it. So you're basically
You're
getting
getting a video
so you're
game on
getting the
top of
League
that.
Pass at a discount with the. See, that's the thing. It's a value
That's
proposition.
that's a crazy
Yeah,
value.
yeah. So
And that's publicity for the NBA League Pass.
yeah, absolutely.
Mhm.
So I mean, I don't see any reason why not to get that. I mean, it makes sense if you consume
Yeah,
both of
like, I'm
those.
like,
If you consume both of those contents, right? Like that would make
mhm,
all the sense in the world
right.
to get. So that's the thing. The value proposition always has to feel like the customer has to feel like they're getting a good deal, regardless of what they're
Mhm.
spending, right? Like that's $150 you're spending, but feels like a damn good deal, right?
Oh, yeah.
For that person that would take advantage of all those things. So that's awesome.
Mhm.
I mean, and
Yeah.
that's the framework I think developers and publishers have to start thinking about. Like what is nothing wrong with charging more. Nothing wrong with offering
No.
DLC. Nothing wrong with any of these sort of things. I'm never hurt. I would never hate on a publisher or a developer trying to make more money for their products. I have,
Mhm.
you remember anything like I'm rooting for them, but the the catch is you have to offer the value to the customer that they feel good about departing with that money. Does that make sense?
Right.
So like
Like
I'll offer like Forza. Every
okay.
motorsport, every Horizon now on, I get up what they could call the Shut Up Edition, right?
Right.
The
The shut up
Shut
edition,
Up
yeah.
Edition. Like I'll give you the
Shut
money.
up and take my money.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you shut up, take my money,
Shut up and give me the content.
and,
Yeah.
and leave me the hell alone, right? Like, don't be enticing me. I already paid for it. Just give it to me, right? And so, that, and they've always delivered on that. Like Motorsport has always offered what I want and the cars that I want, and they always offer the base value there and the experience I'm looking for. The same thing with Horizon. Ever since I got into Horizon 3, Horizon 3 is like kind of when I've adopted the series. Um, Ever since then I've got the shut up editions after that, and I've never felt like they haven't delivered in regards to that. But as soon as they don't deliver, you're not getting the shut up edition, right? For me. So, it's always a value proposition in regards to that. And I think that's another thing is publishers kind of have to earn that value proposition as well. So it's interesting. Everyone's got a different pricing model. Everyone's got a different structure going on out there. It's not
Right.
as simple as you go down to Toys R Us and give them $50
It, it,
and you get a box with a cartridge in it. It's not like how it used to be. You know what I
I
mean?
like how it's all about value
Yeah,
now.
exactly.
That's what it comes down to. As a person that see like and it's funny to me because there's so many people that try to come out to be this, oh yeah, well, I have the money to buy these, to buy this, to buy that. But yet on the flip side, you may have the money to go buy whatever video game you want, but I guarantee you it's you skimming and having and putting in doing like making choices with other things that you purchase by looking at the value of it. Like for instance, you may buy the video games, but you may go to the grocery store and buy the cheapest brands of stuff.
Yeah.
Or you know what I'm saying? Or you might not
My
spend for premium gas. You
Well, my
might
neighbor's
do some
like that. He has a Maserati and a Lamborghini in his driveway,
Mhm.
and now the gas prices are up. He still hunts for the better price on gas. He tells me where like the better price is for gas in town. I'm like, okay, I'm not going to town, but thank you. Like, and I'm looking at what it's in his driveway. I'm like, I can't imagine be owning those
Right,
vehicles and looking
right.
out for gas. But people do that. People do that, right? And so like it just depends on what is the most value for somebody, and in regards to that, and some people are willing to spend a lot of money on certain toys, and it's just how it is. And so,
All right. So last topic, we'll go ahead
okay.
and knock it out, and that is of talking about Microsoft and the Netflix partnership. Now
Oh,
that that's really kind of got beaten up a little bit
the
by
gaming,
everybody out
it's
here.
a gaming adjacent topic, I guess.
Yes, but
Yeah.
there has been a lot of rumors going around, and then also there was some information that dropped, I believe, yesterday. It was yesterday or Monday, where Netflix they took a big hit. They lost over 1 million some subscribers,
Okay.
and I believe Netflix knew that they was going to get hit because of the fact that they canceled the sharing feature, or they want they want to kind of police it, and then of course the content has just not been as deliverable as others with HBO, Disney. The competition is coming out and just throwing is kind of throwing haymakers at Netflix. So Netflix is pretty much is stocks going down, things like that. So the and this is all types of reports coming from anywhere from CNBC all the way down to Windows Central, is that Netflix could be looking to just start this off with a partnership by doing the ad things with Microsoft, but swooning them to maybe try to get them in a position to maybe want to purchase them down the line. Uh, do you think that this is feasible? And what would be the pros or the cons uh into that? And before you even before you even get started, would you would like for Microsoft to try to grab them? Yes or no?
I can care less if they grab them or not.
Okay. Okay.
In regards to now, I would say the pros,
Okay.
and where maybe it spills a little bit into games where people don't realize, and it just like anything, Microsoft is really into the server business, right? Like that's
Mhm.
a big portion of Azure is a big portion of their business. That's the reason why this partnership is happening, that sort of thing. More and more people they have involved in Azure, the more they can invest in it. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And the more that they build up that network, the more there's cross benefits to everybody, in regards to that. So let's say like the whole goal, and this is what people don't understand about streaming things, right? Is the whole goal is you have a bunch of workers, which is hardware and some server racks, right?
Mhm.
And you want them to be working as much as possible, right? So sometimes you're renting out that computing space, let's say to a pharmaceutical company. Sometimes you're renting out that server space for streaming a video game, right? Sometimes you're renting out that server space to stream a video. In regards to this case of Netflix, right? And the more and more you have those products not being idle, that are generating money from each one of the things, the better. And it's one of the reasons why I don't think game streaming will ever take over, because it's really just there to be filler, right? To use up that
Mhm.
space and that horsepower for something, and it justifies them investing in regards to that. And so this this sort of partnership or partnerships like this will help them out a ton. Now, where also I see it going, even though they're kind of lockstep with Paramount with Halo. I mean, those
Mhm.
contracts are signed. They're 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 invested. Halo's going to be over there, right? But
Right.
there's always been rumors of Gears movies, right? What's happens if you sign it on with Netflix?
Right.
In regards to that, you have those options. In regards to that, you have those IPs that can spill over eventually. In regards to that, and then something that Microsoft has shown interest in before, but they just I think went about it the wrong way with the original Xbox One.
Mhm.
In regards to that, so there's benefits if you're able to build up your server farm. You have either a client is a third party or is somebody you own yourself. There are benefits to that. So I can see there being eventually being an interest in that, and Microsoft's the type of company that has the money to purchase them. So that's the reason why you kind of Netflix is kind of treating them a little bit like a sugar daddy. If you know what I mean?
Pretty much, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah,
So
yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
that's, at least that's what it sounds like with the argument. So yeah, I mean, I can see the benefit there in regards to that. So I mean, who else? If you're a Netflix, who are you going to want to partner with? Well, you don't want to partner with Amazon because they have their own thing, right? So either they
Right.
swallow up with Amazon with their IP. I guess you could do that. Um, you know,
Apple.
but Apple, they have a network in regards to it, but this is
Mhm,
kind of the same thing as Amazon, right?
mhm.
So if you want to operate in that same fashion like you had before, which with a little bit of autonomy where you can just do whatever you want, but you can generate more revenue. And I think what the one of the I think people also misread what they said about ads because that's the reason why they're obviously partnering up with them
Mhm.
is so they can uh, run ads when you watch things. Well, that allows them to bring down the cost of their service or make their service free eventually, right?
Mm.
If they can get to that point and offer a different tier. Paramount does that right now, right? So you can pay for the expensive part of Paramount and not have any ads, or you can have like what I got, which was I don't know, like $6 a month or whatever. I'm like, oh, it has some ads, and I'm just getting caught up on television shows, so like I don't care. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like in
Yeah.
regards to that. So, um, it brings another ad revenue in their firm right now. So we'll see where it goes, and obviously that business model has to evolve because the reason why Netflix is successful because it's a business model that others didn't involve around them, and so that's why they became
Mhm.
successful. So I think they understand they have to evolve their business model to some degree in regards to there's always rebuilding areas with like any company. So we'll see what happens in regards to that. So
Yeah, no, and that's I agree. For me, I look at it a little bit deeper,
okay.
because me, I'm a trend guy. I look at the trends. I'm not a numbers guy. I'm not a guy that just gets all deep into the weeds of all the ins and outs of what people say with things. I just look at trends and just have a feel of where I feel that certain companies want to go. Like how I felt about like PlayStation was going to eventually do the same thing that Microsoft doing because there's just too much money be left on the table.
Yeah.
This to me is kind of a will be hitting the reset button for Microsoft to get back into what they were trying to do beforehand with the Xbox One.
Yeah.
And that was with the movie production thing. But it's just this Microsoft is definitely different because of the fact that it usually would do things and then they would do them too early and then they would just give up on them because another entity out there would like okay, like the Zune for instance, and then they kind of didn't put all the resources into the Zune, and then they kind of let it go, and then because people weren't really ready for it, and then here comes iPad or the whatever the little music thing, forgot what that's called. uh that's crazy because
iPod.
I've bought like the iPod, yeah. And so,
It's an Apple product. It has an I in front of
yeah, yeah,
everything.
yeah, 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 the iPod, yeah. And so, and I mean, because I got like 2 iPods in my, in my drawer right there. Love them things, but I also liked the Zoom when it first came out. But
Mhm.
again, it was one of those things Microsoft did something, somebody else, they dropped it, and then somebody else took over and did it. Well, this is kinda like the same thing of what you're seeing with, like, what Sony has done. Sony has always been in pictures, and so then they kinda jumped themselves and got themselves into the video game market and has been successful. They get all this anime and stuff by getting Crunchyroll, got invested into Billy, um, and they're making tons of money off of that, and Funimation and all that. Microsoft, I feel like, has always wanted to get into that entertainment side of the business, um, and
But they're too
this
disconnected
they're too
to
disconnected
approach it.
because they're looked at as a software company, a computer company,
Yeah, I can see that.
and so now if doing this partnership, of course, Microsoft has done things, like people will say, well, they're too kumbaya. They kind of like just give this Microsoft here lately, just like with the Sega thing. Like I've said, like, look, man, this isn't going to be the same where the Sega gets all the benefits and then Xbox is not getting anything, and then lo and behold, Persona is now on Xbox. You got other Sega properties that's now coming on Xbox with Soul Hackers and stuff like that. So
Yeah.
it's and so that well, that's Square Enix, I believe, but there's other Sega games that's going to be coming to Xbox as well. So that's the benefit. And so I think that they're looking at this as the same. And like what you was talking about with Gears, just think about what that could do for what for building up all their brands. Just think about, for instance, if they wanted to do a live action Fable show, or let's just say that
You and
okay, they got
are thinking even smaller than what they really could do, right? Look at all
yeah,
the
what's
things.
that?
Look at all the IPs they purchased.
Right, right,
Doom, like Elder Scrolls, like they
yeah.
could be, they can be doing all that sort of stuff.
They could be doing animations and live
Mm,
action. Yep.
and then they can put it in with people they trust to do that, but they don't have to
Hmm.
build something from the ground up like they originally were doing with Xbox One. They don't have to
Right,
do that groundwork. They can rely on people that are experienced in those areas.
right, and for
And
people they're familiar with, because remember the guy from the 360 era, he left and went to Netflix,
yeah.
and there's a tie-in there because he's at Netflix now.
Yeah. Well, if you take it for example, like would you rather have Gears be done by a studio that Microsoft built from the ground up for a television show, right? Like an actual movie production show, or we do what like Netflix does is like they know Jerry Bruckheimer and and they get Ryan Reynolds and
Right,
shit like
right,
that, right?
right,
Like they have
right,
those
right,
sort of
right, right.
connections in regards to that,
Yes.
and so in that pedigree, and like that's not far fetched for Netflix because that's what they do. So yeah,
Mhm.
I do see benefits across the board, but you think it's Netflix approaching Microsoft, not the other way around.
Right. Yeah, because
Yeah.
I think that because of their money woes, and Microsoft has so much money, disposable money, that it's like I think because I think what the Activision deal did, and that was what we was gonna. Yeah, I forgot that was what we was gonna talk about too. I forgot about that, but
Yeah. Oh,
the
that's soon. I can feel it.
yeah, that's soon. So
Yeah.
I think that opened up the eyes to a lot of other different entities out there. Like, man, Microsoft is willing to spend 80 billion for this. Like, we're just as valuable. How about we just go ahead and get close and see where it goes. Because I think everybody in this point in time is looking for a safety net. And since you looking at these companies that has all this money and has leverage and part of you're part of the U.S. government now and all of this, they're not going to lose any money anytime soon. They're not going to fold. So it's kind of like with Bungie. They like you were saying earlier, Bungie. They keep saying that they want to be independent, but they want that security of knowing that they got that money,
Yeah.
you know what I'm saying, when things go bad. So that's with this. I think the same thing with Netflix. They knowing that they're hemorrhaging right now, they're losing a lot of subs. They know that they're going to get hit. But if they can have that safety net of having Microsoft money backing them, then the sky's the limit on whatever, on all types of content of what they want to do. On top of that, Xbox can finally get into the entertainment business and jump into that space where Sony is dominated in, and just kind of like how where Sony was, doing movies and then just jumped into the video game market. I think it's just because at the time when they first tried to do it, it was unpopular. Now, if
Well,
you look at it, video game movies is the trend. I mean, you got Sonic and all this other stuff that's out here doing and making great, doing great stuff. Like just everything is just different now. Kids don't look at kids and even the adults don't look at video games as silly stuff. Now, there's still a
I think Marvel helped
small
out.
group, but
I think
it's
Marvel helped out a lot with that because like Marvel, in like comic book
I
movies,
think
you
Well, I think
used to
we
look kind of
helped that
silly.
out because we're the kids that grew up on the comics and stuff like
I
that. Now we're adults.
I understand
So
that,
I
but
think
they still had to put out a good product, right? But I'm saying like
right.
Marvel took some of the characters, to be honest with you, on the page look really corny, right? Right?
Yeah, oh yeah. Oh yeah.
And they brought them to a relatable area for everyone to enjoy. In regards to, and there was the other characters
Mhm.
like Batman and stuff like that beforehand and all that sort of stuff. But now
Right.
we're going through this next stage where people are a little more accepting of, basically cross entertainment being a more of a thing right now. So
Mhm.
because of that establishment in the comic book world, I think it really does bleed over into the game world, going into the movies scenario as well. So I mean, you know, Do they still have ways to go? Yeah, the majority of them are not great. A few are good in regards to that, but they'll get there. In regards to that, you have to make a couple crappy sandcastles before you make a really good one, right? Like just how it goes. So
Yeah, but I just think that it's yeah,
yeah,
things have just changed and evolved, and now is the time for Microsoft to try to jump back into it. I think that that would I don't know, I think it would work. I mean, it's just that I don't think that it would be rapid because I think that would be anywhere from 3 to 5 years away because I think Microsoft has really got their eyes on Warner Brothers. I really think they do. So,
you're still
um
holding on to that, huh?
I think they are. I mean, I think that once this Activision deal is done, I think that's the next thing that they're going after.
So you're saying the big okay, okay, let's look at it. Obviously, this acquisition is playing a big part in what Microsoft's willing to spend, right?
Right.
And they're kind of holding on to after this deal's done. So you think the next purchase? So what do you think is their next big purchase? Is it game related, or is it entertainment related, or is it technology
I think
related?
it's gamer limit. I think doing the Warner Brother. I mean, doing if like let's say the Netflix thing is a real legitimate thing. I think that's like I said, that's too soon. You just did a 80 billion dollar purchase or $72 billion purchase, and you had the FTC all up in your ass for you know what I'm saying for it. They're going to really look at you cross-eyed for over here trying to get Netflix. So I think that they would go for something smaller,
Hmm.
something that's kind of not as eye catching,
So how if
as
they just went
so
after
that
the
would
studios and not the Warner Brothers stuff?
I mean, well, I mean, that could be.
Because I
That could
think that's the biggest hang up. To be honest with you, it's the IP. They just it just doesn't make sense for financially for Microsoft. It just doesn't. Like, but the studios do. I mean, no, I mean those studios can make whatever they want, right?
right,
But
right.
it's and you just look historically. I mean, that's all you can do. But if
Yeah, no,
you
no, I think
if, but if
they
you look
want
at
Mortal Kombat, and they want that Batman, man. I think that they would be willing to spend that money. I think
it's
they
not
would be.
it's not getting the return on their money. That's the problem. Because here's the thing. So like with you look at Halo,
Mhm.
you look at let's say Gears, you look at they make money on all their stuff, right? It's not just the game, right? It's all the merchandise and
Right,
stuff like that on top
right,
of it, right?
right,
And that's something that
right.
George Lucas has showed the entertainment world that like you want to own that stuff, right? And Microsoft has that mentality. The thing is, with you spend the money, you get the next Batman or whatever, and it's phenomenal, right? Yeah, but you're not
Mhm.
making off any money off any of the other stuff in regards to that. And it's matter of fact, it's one of the things like if you look at Sony, what's really affecting them on the entertainment side of things, they don't make shit off this all the Spider-Man stuff, right? Like Disney does. In regards to that, they make some money off the movie, but that's about it, right? They don't make money off the socks. They don't make the money off the hats or mugs or anything like that. And then I think that's how Microsoft looks at it. They want to own all the stuff from the IP. They don't want to be paying to advertise someone else's stuff. I mean, it's just how it goes. So
All right, one bad mother, man. Thank you, sir. We're almost done ourselves, but yeah, no, I think this is a different situation now since this Netflix situation is now coming up. I think that this could all kind of work out hand in hand. Because listen, the NetherRealm studio. Okay, so like there's this game that you can play in beta right now called the Multiverse. It's a it's a fighter that's reminiscent to Smash Brothers. It's getting a lot of attention. I played a little bit of it today.
okay,
um, I'm not the biggest fan of Smash Brothers or whatever, but I mean, you get all of you, the potential of all the Warner Brother characters, and you can fight with them. It's pretty damn cool just to see Shaggy going against Wonder Woman. You know what I mean? So
okay,
Tom and Jerry going against uh, whatever, right? Like it's nuts. But for Animaniac, but th- when you sit there and you got the studio that you're trying to make, which with all that news that was brought up last at the end of last year, where they got people from Midway. They got people that formerly worked for WB
Hmm.
or NetherRealm to start this fighting studio. You want NetherRealm to be a part of that. And like you said, yeah, it could be that they try to maybe individually want to try to go after these
Well,
studios,
Mortal Kombat's a
but
different story than like say Batman though. Like because in the
it
sense
is.
because like Mortal Kombat existed in the world before they were part of Warner Brothers. So I can see Warner
Yeah.
Brothers is just saying, well, we haven't done really that great with any Mortal Kombat movies or merch or something like that. So yeah, you can have you have the studio and all the bits that come with it, right? But
Mhm.
they're not gonna let go is Batman. I mean, if they did, like that's the thing is if they were able to get Batman with the studio, then it's a different story. um and you don't have to pay any licensing rights, you don't have to do any other shit, they just own it outright. That's a different story. But I just don't see, I don't see WB wanting to let that go. Does that make sense? Or
Yeah, I
be
know.
or
I
being
get
part
that.
of it, like that's the thing. It's like that's how they make
I
their money. So
Yeah, no, I get that, but I mean, I also look at it from the standpoint of with what I'm saying with the Netflix situation is that what you're talking about where they wouldn't recoup their money, they could definitely make shows or animated series with that and start recouping some money by
shows
showing
of
yeah
what?
because that would a Batman. You know what I'm saying? Like doing you could do
Yeah, but they would
animation
have
because
to own
animation is huge.
the problem is that they would have to own the rights to be able to do that.
And that's why I'm saying that I think that they would go after that. Like I think now it's up to WB if they want to sell it not, but I mean for
That's
AT&T to want to sell,
Yeah, that's the
but
problem I see is I don't see, I guess
but they've
Microsoft.
already said that they're looking for they're trying to get rid of stuff. That I mean that came from that was on the stock news show. I forget what the name of it was,
Yeah,
but they were like, yeah,
they
everything is
want.
on the table, and then the whole Discovery Plus stuff. They don't want all those studios either.
Well, but they still want the. Here's the thing: is like, and I'm not saying
I know
like their
I
business
got
model.
what you're
What they were
saying, but
saying, they're saying,
right.
hey, I want to make the money on the back end and not put any of the work effort into it.
Mhm.
That's their perspective. Now, I'm not saying they will probably most likely not get that. To be honest with you, they'll probably
Mhm.
have to sell eventually. But I mean, you're talking Microsoft, not you. They would have to buy Warner Brothers, like Warner Brothers, all of Warner Brothers. They would have to own them, I think, to get what they ultimately want out of the deal.
And I think that's a possibility. I think that's what
You
they would go for. I
think
really
so?
do. Yeah, I mean, listen, man, the Activision deal twisted everything up. The Bungie deal twisted everything up. Um, Square Enix getting rid of Adios or I forget what they're called now. That with the Tomb Raider, that got the Tomb Raider
Yeah, I
and all
got you.
those those franchises with that. Getting rid of them, like the game is completely changed now. Like it nothing is out of possibility. And I think that if the Netflix situation is anything true, I mean, nothing is going to happen until after this deal with Activision. And I think that there's going to be a lot of people going to Microsoft, if not already have, seeing that they're willing to spend that type of money to acquire a company like that. Then they're like, shit, we're not going to be nowhere near as expensive as that. Cause I don't think WB is going to be anywhere near 70 or 80 billion.
I don't
I
know.
think they'll be a lot cheaper than that.
I
So I don't know. I
I
don't know.
don't know.
I mean, we'll
Like,
see.
yeah, like Warner Brothers is, it's still pretty penny, like because of all the
Oh
IP
yeah,
they
no,
own.
nothing
That's
cheap. I mean, it's not nothing
the
so we can dig in our pocket and grab.
no. I'm not in the market.
I'm damn sure not the
I
market.
can't do a garage sale and get up the change for that. But yeah, that's the thing. It's like I don't see them being interested unless they get it all. Like they have to get it all. Like Microsoft
Right.
wants the control over. They made that very abundantly clear. So the question is, if they can't get it all, would they? Maybe. Maybe they're thinking a little bit bigger picture. Maybe they'll acquire Netflix, but who knows? Like in regards to that, I know they have
Yeah.
money they have to spend, and they just don't know where they want to spend it in regards to that. So they're
Yeah.
turning into
Yeah.
a
I mean,
behemoth. They're big. So
they're becoming monstrous. Yeah. And so we might as well finish off with this one. We thought that was the last topic, but this is the last topic. And so
okay,
there's information coming out saying that the FTC, they sent out the information for Microsoft to respond. Microsoft already said that they responded. They got 30 to 44 days. The FTC got 30 to 44 days to respond back. If they do not respond back, then the deal goes through. Um, that was last month. So you put that together, they're saying that look like August might be
or look
the
like it's already done. It's pretty much just
well,
what that's,
so
and
I
they haven't
mean,
announced it. Okay,
yeah,
gotcha.
yeah. So that's what you think. You think it's already done. You think it's already in the bag. So is that what you think?
Yeah, I think it is. I
Okay.
the thing is, like, when people want to get all, the weigh in on their side, I guess,
Hmm.
if they're against or pro Microsoft doing this, the reality is there's just steps to all this stuff, and that goes with any acquisition this big. That's normal. What they've been going
Yeah.
through is normal steps, in regards to that. And so, yeah, there are things that can go wrong, but there's back and forth with those things. That's the reason why they gave them, that's why when it was Bobby, over at Activision said, most likely this will close by the end of the year. The reason why they
Hmm.
gave that because there's a lot of things they don't know, the red tape going back and forth, back and forth, back and forth.
Hmm.
But the thing is, Activision is really motivated to sell, and Microsoft's really motivated to buy, right? So
Hmm.
the only thing slowing this down is always going to be the government, because the government's not the quickest on getting your rebate check, yeah, taxes, right?
No,
they're
they're
not
sure not.
they're
They're
not the
quick to
quickest.
come and get it, but
Yeah,
they
they're
ain't
not
quick to give
quick
it.
when it
Yeah.
comes to that sort of stuff. So government just moves slowly. It's just how that stuff goes. They're not motivated by time like businesses are. And I wouldn't be surprised if the deal's not already done or close to being finished. In regards to, I think you and I both talked about, we see this
Yeah.
being done before summer. And I wouldn't be surprised
Well,
if that's the
I was
case.
saying at the latest October, because I knew that it's
Okay.
not going to go past that because of the fact of the midterms, and either way, Microsoft is going to be sitting fine because even though I know that there was people that was upset with Elizabeth Warren and Booker and AOC because of what they were trying to do to try to prolong it.
I didn't
But
even know they were even remotely involved.
well, they
So,
always do that. They always do that though.
well,
That's just
it's there's
what
always
they do.
government
So
officials are going to showboat in some sort of way, or
right,
use
and
a
so
situation to get attention and all that sort of
right
stuff. And
because
like,
it's the midterms. So it's
yeah,
so that and this and they're consistent. They do this with every big merger. So so it's not like
it,
this is something different. But there
it's
was
just a
people
dollar
that
amount, and it's a way to be in the public eye.
right, and then
Yeah,
Microsoft will just donate to their pack, and you know what I'm saying, and then they're going to be good. So that's just how this is. I mean,
yeah.
so like it's and then like I said, it's the midterms. They're going to be and then I was and then of course with August would be smart because I think that Congress goes into recess around that time, at the end of August, early September, somewhere around that time. And then they're going to be getting revved up for the midterms where they got to go out and try to solicit themselves so they could get get their vote get revoted in or try to fight to get elected or whatever. Um, so yeah, so yeah, this makes sense. So you might be right. It could be already
Yeah,
done,
and
and
I've
they'll
never
just talk
even
about it in
looked at.
September.
Yeah, I never looked at it from the political standpoint. I just looked at it
Yeah,
just like, politics. I mean, government always moves
yeah,
slow. I mean, it's just how it is. Like,
it does.
it moves slow for everyone. Like,
Yeah.
that's one of the universal things. No matter what side you are, you can complain about government they
Oh,
can't get
yeah.
shit done. Um,
Right.
that's only the only hang up. It's not Activision. It's not Microsoft. Matter of fact, I think they already agreed on something a long time ago, like before this year started. Like they agreed on
Yeah.
on everything, so they're happy with that. They just want to get things moving, in regards to that. So yeah, that's I stood behind, like, it just seems like it's moving pretty quickly, even with
Moving real fast.
the government so playing it. And I think in the summer, before the end of summer, we're going to see it done, unless there's something unperceived that happens with the government side of things. But you know,
2023 is going to be real interesting about what's gonna go down, man. I
my
mean,
Microsoft knows how
oof,
to dot their I's and cross their T's when it comes to that stuff. So does Activision.
right,
So like
right.
I just don't see them being the hang up. So I think
Me either.
I think it's a done deal. I think gamers will argue what's going to be on what platform for about a year or two, and then we're going to start understanding where it really all falls into place in
Yep,
regards to
and
that.
happen.
Yeah,
Yep.
and I think we've already seen it, but then again, people will be in denial one way or the other, and speculation is always going to happen. So it's just a matter of time.
And
So
then Xbox will talk about their purchase of Warner Brothers.
yeah,
So
all right.
let's go. Got Monolith. Got another realm. We good. We good.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
then next is Netflix. Okay.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Let's get
I
out of
guess
here, man.
I guess their money doesn't jiggle, it folds, right?
No, it folds. It
So-
does not jiggle. They don't have any jiggling money. They got
Mm,
none but
mm.
folding bills and I don't even know emerald cards. I know that there's black cards, but I think they're beyond the black card. I don't know what's after a black cards. That's ridiculous.
All right, well,
But all right, man.
I mean, it
Get
was a
out of
lot of
here.
fun. I'm glad we're staying consistent. And then
Yeah.
I guess we'll have this up on your channel before you know it. And then
Sir.
if you want to check us live, we try to either stream it every other Tuesday or Wednesday. We're trying to stay committed, but life is always seems to be getting in the way. Which is it?
Oh yeah. Oh
What's
yeah.
his
Oh
name?
yeah.
Life will find a way. You know what I
Life
mean?
will
So,
find a way.
but you want to catch us live? Typically on Twitch. And then that being said, give it 24 hours. You're gonna see it on K Mega's channel later.
All right. Yes, all right. And yeah, you can check me out